Hi, this is part 1 of the audio version of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land Works Anywhere in the U.S. by Kris Kemp. Revealed how a college dropout, me, bought a house for $2,800 and sold it for $20,000, and how he continues to do similar deals using 3 virtually unknown techniques. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. The art of finding and flipping properties, land, houses, mobile homes, in Florida or anywhere else in the United States for fun and profit. Copyright 2019 and beyond by Kris Kemp, all rights reserved. Earnings disclaimer. Any earnings or income statements are only estimates of what you could earn. There is no assurance you will do as well. If you rely upon my figures, you must accept the risk of not doing as well. Any and all claims or representations as to income earnings on this website are not to be considered as average earnings. There can be no assurance that any prior successes or past results as to income earnings can be used as an indication of your future success or results. Income disclaimer. This website and the items it distributes contain business strategies, marketing methods, and other business advice that, regardless of my own results and experience, may not produce the same results or any results for you. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land makes absolutely no guarantee, expressed or implied, that by following the advice or content available from this website, you will make any money or improve current profits, as there are several factors and variables that come into play regarding any given business. Primarily, results will depend on the nature of the product or business model, the conditions of the marketplace, the experience of the individual, and situations and elements that are beyond your control. As with any business endeavor, you assume all risk related to investment and money based on your own discretion and at your own potential expense. Liability disclaimer. By reading this website or the documents it offers, you assume all risk associated with using the advice given, with the full understanding that you, solely, are responsible for anything that may occur as a result of putting this information into action in any way, and regardless of your interpretation of the advice. You further agree that our company cannot be held responsible in any way for the success or failure of your business as a result of the information provided by our company. It is your responsibility to conduct your own due diligence regarding the safe and successful operation of our business if you intend to imply any of our information in any way to your business operations. In summary, you understand that we make absolutely no guarantees regarding income as a result of applying this information, as well as the fact that you are solely responsible for the results of any action taken on your part as a result of any given information. In addition, for all intents and purposes, you agree that our content is to be considered, quote, for entertainment purposes only, unquote. Always seek the advice of a professional when making financial, tax, or business decisions. Table of contents. About this ebook. About the author. Preface. Introduction. The next gold rush in Florida. What you'll find inside this ebook. Nothing changes until you do. Living on the edge. How I got into buying and selling tax deed sale properties. Common doubts regarding tax deed sales. The difference between tax liens and tax deeds. 20 steps to buying tax deed properties. 3 ways to find bargain land. How to buy land that's not advertised for sale. Online resources for selling tax deeds. Bought for $2,800, sold for $20,000. Bought for $6,300, sold for $18,500. Keeping customers happy. How to get checks to your mailbox every month. Working for yourself, a way to wealth. Frequently asked questions. Understanding parcel identification numbers. Paperwork necessary for buying and selling properties. Actual letters I've sent property owners. Florida counties. Clerk and property appraisers' websites. How to use the Florida counties clerk and property appraiser websites to find deals. Florida counties tax deed sales map. Resources. Thanks. About this ebook. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land is a guide that will show you step by step how you can make big profits in flipping properties, land, houses, mobile homes, in Florida or anywhere else in the United States for fun and profit. If I, a college dropout, can do this, so can you. Anyone can do this. Even if you have a low credit score, even if you do not have any money of your own, even if you know nothing about real estate. Once you learn how to do this, you can easily get the money by securing financing from friends, family, acquaintances, and sometimes banks. My main motivation was and still is freedom, to have the freedom to do what I want when I want. For me, this means financial freedom by working smarter, not harder. Real estate is one of the best ways to make money. Why? Because everyone, or almost everyone, needs a place to live. You can learn this technique and still be a, quote, cool person, unquote. You don't have to be a, quote, guru, unquote, or some guy who flies around in Learjets. If that's your thing, then great. My why was so great that the how took care of itself. Why? I wanted freedom. How? I could figure out what I needed to do in order to get that freedom. Let's repeat that. My why was so great that the how took care of itself. Why? I wanted freedom. How? I would figure out what I needed to do in order to get that freedom. My how, discovering how to invest in real estate, even using no money of my own, even with a low credit score. Some called me a maverick real estate investor. Others called me a rebel real estate investor. In a way, I was a kind of renegade real estate investor, a combination of a motivated dreamer who wanted to learn this so much that at one point, I was sleeping in my car, driving around North Florida and even to South Georgia, scouting houses and spending hundreds of hours at the tax assessor's office, poring over plat maps and learning everything I could about parcel control numbers, parcel identification numbers, and other terms associated with tax liens, tax deeds, and real estate research. My how drove me to pursue this goal, to learn how to make money with real estate. And I'm going to show you how you can make money with real estate too. Thanks for joining me on the journey. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, Part 2, Page 9, about the author. My name is Michael Christopher Kemp. I'm a real estate investor, writer, musician, traveler, and creative entrepreneur. My real estate investing specialty consists of buying and flipping tax deed sales properties in North Central Florida and South Georgia, as well as finding and buying properties whose out-of-state owners are tired of paying property taxes on them, then selling these properties for a profit. Typically, my strategy involves buying cheap properties and selling them rent to own. Although we have a variety of interests, they appear to share the common theme of freedom: time freedom, financial freedom, health freedom, travel, location freedom. To find out more, visit MakeBigProfitsFlippingFloridaLand.com or visit FlipFloridaLand.com or visit FindingFloridaLand.com. Thank you. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, Part 3, Preface, pages 14 and 15. Preface. You can do it. You can do whatever it is you want to do. How much do you want it? If your why is big enough, the how will take care of itself. In other words, what is your why? Why are you interested in making a fortune with real estate investing? Put a big enough why in front of you, and then you will be motivated enough to figure out how to accomplish a goal. Money is just a financial instrument that has a form of value. When you learn the practical strategies you can use to find, buy, and flip properties, land, houses, mobile homes, investment properties, in Florida or anywhere else in the United States, you are arming yourself with valuable knowledge that you can use to make lots of money. Before you embark on this adventure, place a why in front of yourself. Ask yourself, why do I want to make lots of money with real estate investing and property flipping? Once your why is big enough, the how you can do it, the how you can make lots of money with real estate investing and property flipping will take care of itself. You can do it. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Introduction, page 15. You can use this book to 1. Learn the steps to buying, selling discount properties for fun and profit. 2. Buy land in Florida or anywhere else for as little as $500 or less. 3. Find property owners who want to sell to you. 4. reference from 67 counties that sell bargain properties in Florida, and much, much more. Every day, thousands of people are moving to the Sunshine State. Thousands of people are moving to Florida, and they need a place to live. Real estate costs are rising. People who bought land years ago are making astronomical profits. How can you get in on this? This book, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, unlocks the steps necessary to buying Florida properties at bargain prices. Use the techniques inside to get in on the Florida land rush that's happening right now. You can also use these techniques anywhere in the United States, with modifications, of course. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Page 16. The next gold rush in Florida. The next gold rush in Florida will be this: people moving to north central Florida. This area is still, for the most part, undiscovered. If you can buy land, houses, mobile homes in this area now, you're likely to have something very valuable in the near future. Florida is filling in. The counties that were once obscure are seeing development. Why? For a number of reasons. The east coast and west coast of Florida are becoming crowded, so much so that traffic jams are more commonplace. People from northern states like New Jersey and New York and elsewhere are moving to Florida at the rate of hundreds and thousands a day. In a recent news segment, realtors expressed that most of these people who work in finance in areas of Boston and New York City are drawn to Florida by the low cost of living, the beautiful weather, and the fact that there are no state income taxes. All this to say, Florida, especially the east and west coast with their beautiful beaches, are getting to be crowded. Incoming arrivals tend to have their own ideas and values, and this can often create conflicts with those who have been residents for a longer period of time. Another reason to leave the coastal areas of Florida is this: the hurricanes. Every year or every few years, hurricanes arrive, bringing chaos and destruction to the coastal areas of Florida. Meanwhile, the north central areas of Florida remain relatively untouched. Page 17. Old Florida living in north central Florida. Inland counties like Highlands, Glades, Sumter, and Lake spells less traffic, more trees and parks, friendlier people, and an overall cleaner emotional climate. This is also an area where real estate prices are considerably lower than those counties that are closer to the ocean. And another thing, the inland counties of Florida, although they might not have ocean access, might have access to springs and parks and trees, and might have seasons that are not as cold or as drastic as seasons up north, but seasons nonetheless. When I lived in Old Town, Florida, one of the beautiful things was I could go to Fanning Springs. I could go to nearby Manatee Springs. There were springs nearby. I was about 5 minutes from the Swanee River. It was really beautiful. So, ocean, no, but river and springs, yes. The move is already on as people are leaving areas like Palm Beach County to find land that's more affordable. As there are 67 counties in Florida, there are numerous opportunities to buy inexpensive land in an area where growth is inevitable. Soon, the incoming wave of people, along with the residents who've been living in Florida for years, will discover the beauty of north central Florida, with its traffic-free streets, easy living, beautiful farms, friendly people, and natural beauty, like the springs, Fanning Springs, Manatee Springs, Blue Springs, Alexander Springs, etc. And rivers, Swanee River, Withlacoochee River, Ichnotucknee River, and state parks like Rainbow Springs State Park, Silver Springs State Park, Swanee River State Park, Ichnotucknee Springs State Park, etc. Follow the steps in this book, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, to begin finding bargain-priced land today. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Page 18. What you'll find inside this ebook. I'm glad you are here. It is my hope that Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land exceeds all your expectations. Inside, you'll find personal stories and practical tips. Feel free to skip around, but whatever you do, put the steps to use. Anyone can do this. A benefit is that you can actually help others find a home for cheap while pocketing a cash profit or even a steady income flow. Win-win. Most people have not been exposed to these ideas. Understanding them works when you're flexible enough to accept new concepts. Success results when you employ these concepts and do not look back. Originally, the techniques in this ebook consisted of a pile of notes in loose leaf binders. My initial intention was to edit the notes and use it as an operations manual for buying and selling bargain properties anywhere in Florida and selling them for profits. The beauty is these techniques, with some slight modifications, pretty much work anywhere in the United States. It was only after repeated requests from friends and other investors who wanted to learn how to do what I was doing that I decided to package this material and sell it as a book. Its publication will leave two groups, or is likely to leave two groups: those who choose to reap the benefits that it offers, and those who dismiss them. Ignore the second group. While they complain, you'll be making profits. Make the most of this ebook by reading it more than once. Inside is a lot of information. Feel free to print it, grab a highlighter, and mark it up. You will find more than one piece of knowledge in these pages that can result in your getting checks every month. There are diamonds to unearth in the soil of these pages. Dig in slowly, carefully, and make sure you don't miss them. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 19. Nothing changes until you do. Before I get into the exact steps of how to find bargain properties and resell them for profit, I'm going to start with my personal story that explains how I got into real estate investing. Feel free to skip past this section. However, if you want to learn how I saved money to get my first property, this might help motivate, challenge, and possibly even inspire you. At least it is likely to entertain you. Perhaps what I did, and sometimes what I still continue to do, may seem radical. But the interesting thing is this: once you define what it is you want and head in that direction, you'll find that the entire universe conspires to help you get there. Move forward with a smile, a natural curiosity, and a positive attitude while maintaining a state of gratitude and thankfulness to God, and you'll be delighted at the results. Whatever you do, don't take anything personally. It's not failure, just feedback. It's only a failure if you fail to learn. Let's talk about you. Are you happy where you are in life? Are you happy financially? If not, what are you going to do about it? Not what are you planning to do, but what are you going to do? You must do something different to get somewhere different. Sometimes getting what you want in life requires sacrifice. Nothing changes until you do. In order to get what other people are not getting, you have to do what other people are not doing. Have you heard or read these expressions? Essentially, all of these statements say that you need to do things differently in order to arrive at a different place in your life. The power of choice is one of the strongest powers that you have. Every decision you make leads to another life. The ability to decide and then to act on that decision determines your destiny. Every decision you make leads to another life. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 21. Living on the edge. For years in high school and after high school, I worked a string of jobs. Mainly I worked at restaurants as a fast food cook, a pantry chef. A pantry chef is essentially someone that works the cold side, making salads and sandwiches. A pantry chef, a line cook, or even running the entire line for the late night shift at a French-inspired American cuisine restaurant called America that sat at the east end of Clematis Street in downtown West Palm Beach, Florida. For the most part, the jobs required a high degree of energy and attention to detail. Even if you are just serving people food, the fact that you are putting together something that they will eventually put into their mouth is a great responsibility. It is. The merry-go-round of jobs after high school. It was after high school, while working a number of interesting but kind of uninspiring jobs, that I realized I didn't want to work a 40 to 60 hour a week job the rest of my life in order to pay rent or mortgage payments, car payments, insurance payments, only to end up many years later in a retirement community to play tennis, bingo, and swim, with the occasional visits from family and friends. If you're depressed about your life or find yourself complaining, turn off your TV. Then visit a nearby nursing home and spend some time listening to the stories of the people who live there. You will leave with a new perspective on your own, quote, problems, unquote. So even while working these jobs, I decided to save money in order to get my first income property. In order to save money, I did things differently so that one day I could purchase real estate in Florida. If I can do this, so can you. This is what led me to writing this book. Focus on your goal plus discipline toward making that goal a reality, consisting of breaking it down into steps and taking action to make it happen, will bring that goal into reach, something tangible where you see results. A dream is a dream, but a goal, in my opinion, is something that offers you specific and measurable results. Living Sheep Creative Projects. For years, I had lived in a giant warehouse with a group of artists, writers, drifters, dreamers, in the corner of a Quonset hut, about 20 feet from the railroad tracks, probably closer than 20 feet. Every time the train roared by, the walls of the entire building facing the east side toward the railroad tracks shook. The entire warehouse consisted of 3 Quonset huts joined together at the middle lower sections, located at 502 Cayuga Drive in Flamingo Park, an historic area of town in West Palm Beach, Florida. This artist living/working space was affectionately called, quote, the Hut, unquote. The official name for this fringe artist community was Unarmed Underground Art Center, or the UUAC. The benevolent pirate, Alan Patrusevich, a genius antique restorer, he called it the Unarmed Underground Art Center as a way to kind of be a contradiction to the Armory Art Center, which is a more formal arts gallery located in Flamingo Park. Flamingo Park was undergoing a revitalization at the time. People were moving into the area, buying up homes, painting them, sprucing up the yard. The area was becoming a hot place to buy and sell real estate. Investors and property owners began to complain about the warehouse where I and other artists and drifters and dreamers lived. The investors and property owners complained about the warehouse, the Quonset hut, in which I and others lived and rented live-work lofts and artist studios. To them, the Quonset hut, the warehouse, the Unarmed Underground Art Center, the hut, was an eyesore. From the outside, it did look like an abandoned warehouse occupied by slow-moving carousel of the orphans of society, the drifters, dreamers, small-time grifters, hustlers, and bohemians that were drawn to this place magnetically. The Quonset hut, the warehouse, sat at the end of Cayuga Street, about 15 feet from the railroad tracks. Situated in front was a grassy patch of land that served as a parking lot for the beat-up cars that were owned by the, quote, artist in residence, unquote. Quonset hut, in case you don't know, is a curve-shaped warehouse that looks like a giant unlabeled soup can that's been cut in half vertically and laid on the ground. Essentially, it's an airplane hangar, or it looks like an airplane hangar, or maybe like one of those airplane hangars you see in a movie from the 40s or 1950s. Ironically, the Quonset hut we lived in was used a long time ago as a manufacturing facility for materials used to build other Quonset huts. Because it was smack dab next to the railroad tracks, it served as a convenient entry point for the distribution of Quonset hut building materials. For that reason, it's no guess as to why there's a series of such buildings that run the perimeter of the railroad tracks in Palm Beach County, Florida. The Quonset hut was the giant beached whale, the Moby Dick, whose carcass we, the writers, artists, drifters, dreamers, had taken hold of, had entered, had inhabited, had rearranged, and now called home. We were on this ship that had run aground. And the captain was a skinny, muscular, highly intelligent, benevolent alcoholic named Alan Patrusevich. He was creative and generous, and had these massive blue eyes that were the size of coffee saucers. And this guy could tell stories that would leave you hypnotized. Alan Patrusevich was a live-in manager of the warehouse. In the front bay of one of the Quonset huts, he ran an antique restoration business. He was good at it. People from Palm Beach would visit often to either antique furniture fixed or decorators from Palm Beach. And also, Antique store owners from nearby Antique Row on Dixie Boulevard would come by to get their antiques fixed. Alan Petruszewicz, the live-in manager of this warehouse, the hut, the Quonset hut, he was a former Navy veteran. He was a brilliant mechanic and a voracious reader, a soft-spoken intellectual. He had a penchant for drinking, up to 18 bottles of Miller Lite a day. His diet consisted of beer and Lucky Strike cigarettes. Often he would recruit a nearby artist to make a run to the candy store nearby to purchase a 12-pack of Miller Lite and 2 packs of Lucky Strikes. The Quonset hut itself became a revolving door of shipwrecked-looking castaways, with weekend parties, art events, music shows, and a continuous stream of cars, vehicles, and bicycles coming and going all hours of the day and night. The constant parties and coming and goings of the artist, as well as the front yard of run-down, beaten-up cars that looked abandoned, even though they were owned by the artist, got the attention from the investors who were moving into the neighborhood. This was the neighborhood of Flamingo Park in West Palm Beach, Florida, and it was just being discovered, a place to find and buy houses that were expected to only rise in value. Those expectations, it turned out, proved to be correct. As of this writing, November 2019, the typical house on Flamingo Park goes from $500,000 to $750,000 or higher. Flamingo Park is an historic neighborhood in West Palm Beach, Florida, that is bordered by Parker Avenue on the west side and Dixie Avenue on the east side, and Belvedere Road on the south side, and Okeechobee Boulevard on the north side. Things were changing, and the little artist community that could was feeling the squeeze. City officials started visiting the Unarmed Underground Art Center by sending code enforcement to harass director-owner Alan Petruszewicz. Alan Petruszewicz, a brilliant and benevolent former Navy man of Lithuanian descent who operated an antique restoration business from one of the warehouse bays. He was getting visits from code enforcement. The story of living in the Quonset hut, known as the Unarmed Underground Art Center, is an entire story in itself. Thankfully, I kept a journal of my experiences living there. You can read the journal, Pictures from the Leftover Generation, at www.bicycledays.com. www.bicycledays.com. At the website, look for the journal section on the right-hand side, then click on Pictures of the Leftover Generation. As I mentioned earlier, code enforcement started showing up at the hut. At first they came every few weeks, then every week, then they started arriving every few days. Sometimes we'd get advance notice from the neighbors or city officials who were on our side. I remember a few times getting the advance notice and quickly standing up my bed against the wall, bungee cord tying it so it stood vertically, covering it with a tarp, opening the door and then going to my desk to continue typing, putting together a creative project. By the time the code enforcement people arrived, they saw an artist in his studio working or a writer in his studio writing. Even so, the pressure continued to mount. Eventually, police showed up at the art parties. Then legal notices arrived for court dates and litigation for violations due for electrical, plumbing, and permits. The code enforcement, the legal issues, the cops started out as a wave that turned into a tsunami. Finally, caving into pressure from city officials and mounting debts, Alan Petruszewicz sold the Quonset huts. The Unarmed Underground Art Center, aka the Hut, was no more. The artists, writers, drifters, and dreamers scattered. Eventually the dust settled, and they found places of their own. Finding freedom. At this point, I was in my early 30s and wasn't about to settle down to work at a job I don't like, to buy things I don't need, to compete with people I don't even know. I wanted my own space. I wanted freedom. Living among artists in the giant hamster cage of the hut had given me freedom to work part-time, to pick up jobs in my free time and write journals, compose songs, start a Christian coffee house, produce a film festival, and a number of other creative enterprises. These creative projects enabled me to meet groups of people and have the project be the campfire around which we gathered. In a way, the projects were like month-long campgrounds for adults and people of any ages. Still are. For me, freedom meant continuing to live for cheap or free. I wanted at some point to own my own place, to exit this treadmill of paying rent for the next 50 years, to exit this hamster cage for the disenfranchised. I didn't want to pay rent. I wanted to own my own house, even if it was a fixer-upper. I didn't want to be trapped in a 30-year mortgage either. If I could continue to live cheaper, eventually I could save enough to buy an old house somewhere. In short, I wanted out. But I knew that in order to get this place, I'd have to continue living differently. Make big profits flipping Florida land. Page 27, Couch Surfing. For nearly 6 months, I lived on the couch of Scott Turow, an engineer and real estate investor in North Palm Beach, Florida. Years earlier, we had met at church and had been friends ever since. I told him that I wanted to live with him in order to save money and to record music tracks, songs for a Christian music ministry project that I started called Out of the Wilderness. outofthewildernessmusic.com and outofthewilderness.net, raising a voice for the persecuted church. Scott agreed to let me sleep on the couch, and I even set up my keyboard and portable digital mixer for recording the music directly using a 1/4-inch cable and keyboard in the kitchen against one wall. He said that as long as I made him smoothies every morning and helped him do repairs with his properties, I could live there. At the end of 6 months, I had recorded most of the songs for Out of the Wilderness, outofthewilderness.net, or outofthewildernessmusic.com, saved money, and learned firsthand what it's like to live with someone who has rental properties. I learned that I did not want to be a landlord. Scott rented out duplexes to tenants, and I saw that it was a full-time job. His life, at that point, consisted of arriving home from work at the engineering firm, changing into ripped shorts and dirty shirts, then visiting his properties to maintain them. Often I would help. Usually we didn't return until after midnight. The work was physical. We lived in one of Scott's duplexes and often did repairs in the others. I remember using a sledgehammer to help smash out bathroom tiles, then heaving a toilet into the bathroom while we both fastened it to the floor. Sure, he might have made solid income flow from his properties, but was the trade-off worth it? Every night running from property to property fixing things? Soon after recording most of the music for Out of the Wilderness and feeling the need for a change, I moved out of Scott's place. What I learned from living with Scott is this: being a landlord is a full-time job. There's got to be a better way to make long-term profits. Later, I found out there is a better way. Coconuts as currency. Sometime later, after moving out of Scott's, I received a call from David Knight. A Bahamian-born entrepreneur and musician, he was an interesting, somewhat enigmatic fellow who I had met years earlier in downtown West Palm Beach, Florida, and had done work for, assisting him with maintenance, usually painting or carpentry, on his investment property on Dixie Boulevard in downtown West Palm Beach, Florida. David was calling from New York. It was nighttime, and he had an urgency in his voice as he told me that someone had broken into his building on Dixie. He asked me if I could drive by and cover the broken window with a board. I told him I would. He said that if I did that, I could stay in the kitchen of his place for free, and that, when he returned from New York, we would discuss my staying there for a further period. David Knight owned 3 buildings on Dixie, the big 2-story building he had sold. Beside it sat 2 smaller 1-story buildings. The 2 smaller buildings were fenced. One of the smaller buildings in the back housed a kitchen and bathroom with a shower. The smaller building in front consisted of David's living space, several rooms, a music studio, a bathroom, a living room. Somewhat cautiously, I drove to his building, parked, and wandered to the front door of the smaller building in the back that housed the kitchen. Noticing the broken window on the door and bits of glass all over the ground, I walked the premises carefully to see if any other buildings had gotten vandalized. Even though the window had been broken, bars were framed in front, preventing anyone from entering. My guess is that someone had broken the window, then tried to put their arm through and unlock the door from the inside. Long story short, a cop arrives, and I'm on the phone with Dave. So he talks to the cop, explaining that I'm a friend he called to check things out. The cop leaves. I return with a board, cut it to fit it over the window, then screw it into the aluminum door. When David returned, I moved into that building, the kitchen. I set up a foam pad for sleeping bags, beneath the kitchen tables, a thin sleeping bag to go over it, my computer on the table, and moved in to the kitchen. The rent agreement was this. David said that my rent was 2 coconuts a day. I agreed that that was fair, then moved in. At the time, I was delivering pizzas and driving around West Palm Beach, Florida. A hurricane had recently come through, blowing down trees, branches, and, you guessed it, a large number of coconuts. I purchased a machete from Brazil, from Hall's Hardware, and placed it into the back of the Honda Civic that I drove. While delivering pizzas, I would find coconuts on the street, pull over, and put them in the back of the car. Arriving to the kitchen after work, I would chop off the top of one of the coconuts, put a straw in it, and place it in the fridge. Every morning, David would walk in and open the fridge and drink the coconut milk for breakfast. I placed the second coconut unopened in the fridge, so it would be cold for the next day. Once the juice was consumed, I would chop it open for the meat and place that in a container. Living there proved to be a real blessing, and that I saved money with the intention to purchase my own foreclosure or fixer-upper property. The last pizza delivery driver on earth. I lived there for over a year, saved thousands of dollars, and wrote my first screenplay in my spare time. The last pizza delivery driver on earth tells the story of an insecure 32-year-old pizza delivery driver who, after finding out his 15-year high school reunion is coming to town, tries to patent an idea so he can feel good about himself. You can read it at www.bicycledays.com. And yes, it's semi-autobiographical. Antares Davis, a model and actress whom David Knight was dating at the time, helped me read through a part of the script one day. It was great reading the material with a seasoned actress who had hosted major celebrity events in LA. Thank you, Antares Davis. She even came up with a great line for a pivotal scene in the screenplay, in which Jim Wheeler, the protagonist, hero, meets Wendy, the homeless girl at a 7-Eleven. When Wendy jumps in his car, Jim looks at her astonished. Here's the scene. Jim Wheeler looks at Wendy, a homeless girl, appears to be 21 years old, who just jumped into his car. Wendy, go. Jim, where? Wendy, you're the driver. You can read the entire screenplay at www.bicycledays.com. Look in the section Screenplays, then click on The Last Pizza Delivery Driver on Earth. A squirrel's eye view of a real estate investor entrepreneur. Living in David Knight's kitchen provided me with a squirrel's eye view of someone who worked for themselves. Some years earlier, David had purchased a main 2-story building on Dixie at a low price, spent a few years on a renovation, then sold it for a nice profit, about 3 times what he paid for it. He also had rental properties. Although he was somewhat quiet about his earnings, I surmised that he had used the profits of the 2-story building sale to buy smaller rental properties for cash and use that rental income to live on. It's a smart move to work hard for a few years, find some deals, add value to those deals, resell for profit, then use that profit for rental properties or properties you sell outright. Although real estate had been favorable for David Knight, he didn't seem interested in talking about it. When I asked him why he wasn't interested in continuing in real estate investing, he'd answer with a sigh and say, "It's boring." He was more into playing music and traveling, New York, Europe, Ukraine, South America. During the course of my stay in his kitchen, I would ask him how to make money in real estate. For the most part, his answers were esoteric. He did not care to discuss real estate. He said it bored him and that he wanted to play music. One day he told me this, which I wrote down. Those who work with their muscle can be replaced by the stronger guy. Work with your brain. You can accumulate knowledge working with your brain. With your muscle, you accumulate wear and tear. David Knight. Living with real estate investors. Living at Scott's house on the living room couch and in David Knight's kitchen where he slept on the floor beneath the table proved to be an educational experience. From Scott, I learned that I did not want to be a landlord and that, if I did have rental properties, I wanted to figure out a way not to have to manage them. From David Knight, I learned that buying a rundown property in an up-and-coming area with a clear vision of improving the property to resell it at a later date could yield enormous profits, enough to reinvest in smaller income-producing properties. At this point, I was really excited about buying a property of my own. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 35. How I got into buying and selling tax deed sale properties. For 2 years I had couch surfed, living at friends' houses, crashing on their sofas or the floor even, in exchange for doing dishes, cleaning, or helping around the house. Why? I wanted to save money, and in order to save money I needed a way out of paying rent. Basically, I was a houseboy or concierge. During this time, although I worked a number of side jobs, my main employer was Papa John's Pizza. I delivered pizzas at the downtown West Palm Beach, Florida store. But, tired of working long hours for small tips, driving a car on the verge of exploding, and somewhat frightened and stressed by recent bad experiences on the job, being assaulted, being robbed, having rocks thrown at the car, I quit. During those years, I had saved $12,000. Knowing that I needed more money, I withdrew all my mutual funds, which added $30,000 to the pot. Combined, I had a total of $42,000. Now at this point, side note, at this point you might be thinking, well, you had $42,000. It was easy for you to get started buying and flipping real estate. You're going to find out that you can do this for a few $100s, or even an amount as low as $1,500 to $2,500, and you can also do this without using your own money. Anyway, back to the story. During those years, I had saved $12,000. Knowing that I needed more money, I withdrew all my mutual funds, which added $30,000 to the pot. Combined, I had a total of $42,000. I was hoping to use this money to buy a fixer-upper house in West Palm Beach, Florida. At this time, though, the real estate market was very hot. Home prices were soaring. Even fixer-upper houses were selling for $200,000 or more, so I decided to look elsewhere. After searching the internet for realtor websites in North Florida, I concluded that the houses, even in rural areas, were overpriced, at least out of my budget anyway. I needed a for sale by owner property that was a fixer-upper, too. So here's what I did. I went to google.com and typed in Dixie County, Florida newspaper. My idea was that the small town newspapers that have a website would list the for sale by owner properties that would be overlooked by major search engines. It turned out they were. Now, as a side note, this is something you can do as well. I did it in Florida. So, to specifically explain how I did this, to get the ball rolling so I could find bargain properties, this is what I did. In Florida, at the time, I was living in Palm Beach County. I looked online and I typed in Florida counties, and I found a Florida counties map, and I looked at all the counties, and I found some counties that appeared to be rural, like Dixie County, Levy County, Gilchrist County in north central northwest Florida. And then what I did is I opened up another internet page, and I searched for a Gilchrist County, Florida newspaper. I searched for Dixie County, Florida newspaper. I searched for Levy County, Florida newspaper. Now, there's a town in Levy County, so then I did the search more specifically. There's a town in Levy County when I did that search. It's called Chiefland. So I typed in Chiefland, Florida, Levy County newspaper. There's a town in Gilchrist called Trenton. So I typed in Trenton, Florida, Gilchrist County, Florida newspaper. There's a town in Dixie called Old Town. So I typed in Dixie County, Old Town, Florida, Dixie County newspaper. And then when I did that, I would find newspapers that were either in that county, in that town, or near that county, or near that town. Now this is where it gets interesting and fun. You're almost doing like investigative journalism or being like a detective. And then what I would do is find that newspaper's website. And I would bookmark that website and find that newspaper's classifieds ads. And some of those newspapers would have classified ads for inexpensive properties. And they would also have ads, I don't know if they were in the classifieds, but it would be like a notice for upcoming tax deed sales. And I was like, this is really interesting. Now, these are small towns in rural counties of north central and northwest Florida. And there's properties for sale, land, houses, and mobile homes that's being listed at the newspapers and often on their online websites. Now, a lot of people are not seeing these properties because they're smaller towns, so there's less competition. And this is also true for the most part for the tax deed sales. So if there's a tax deed sale or foreclosure sale on the county courthouse, they're not being that well attended because it's a small town, so there's lesser competition. So you can do this if you live in any state in the United States. You can do the same thing. And this is exactly how you can do it. You would, if you're living in Iowa, if you're living in Texas, if you're living in New Mexico, if you're living in Montana, Wyoming, Philadelphia, Vermont, what you can do is, say you're living in Vermont, you type in counties in Vermont. You find a rural county, you find the towns that are in that county, and then you search for town, Vermont, and then name of the county, and then newspaper. So I used to live in Burlington, Vermont. Now Burlington, Vermont is a pretty, it's rural, but it's also well known, right? So if I want to do this in Burlington, Vermont, I would search for Burlington, Vermont, then the county, whatever that county is. Burlington, Vermont, county, Vermont, newspaper. Find that newspaper, find the online site, and see the land that's for sale. Now what's interesting is a lot of this land that's for sale on these smaller online newspapers is not, it's not that it might be for sale by owner, it might not be on the MLS, it might not be easily found on a search engine, it might not be on a site like Zillow or Trulia or Realtor or Redfin. What you want to do is find these properties that are listed but that are not listed on major sites or major real estate search engines. And this will kind of give you an edge to contact the owner directly and to make him an offer and to do all the closing costs, handle all the paperwork, and make it as easy as possible for him to sell the land to you. Okay, I'm going to wrap this section up here, and then I'm going to start again on page 36. But I hope this gets your imagination excited, because there's a lot of possibilities with real estate. It's very creative, it's very fun, and you don't even really have to care about real estate. The way I see it is, if, and other people have said this before, if your why is big enough, then your how will take care of itself. In other words, if the why you want to get into real estate is big enough, the how you do it, how you get the money, how you be successful, you will figure that out. It's similar to being in a relationship. If you really, really, really want to find love, you'll figure out how to find love. You'll figure out how to be that person that attracts the person that you want to fall in love with. If you want to make money, you really want to make money, if your how is big enough, then you'll figure out how to make money. For me, it's about financial freedom. It's not the money, it's about the financial freedom to work for myself, to work from wherever, and have travel freedom and location freedom and time freedom. It's not about the money, but financial freedom, having the ability to earn money with real estate and earn money online, that gives me, that's a ticket, that gives me the opportunity to have that type of time freedom. So if your how is big enough, if your why is big enough, then your how will take care of itself. So put that why in front of you. Why are you interested in learning how to buy and sell bargain properties in Florida or anywhere else in the United States? If that why is big enough, the how will take care of itself. Some of you might want to support charities or might want to support missions, and you'll want to do this for a benevolent purpose, and that's your driving passion, and that's great. And if that driving passion is big enough, if your why is big enough, then how you do it will take care of itself. You will figure that out. But if your why is not big enough, you're probably not going to figure it out. If your why is not big enough, even after listening to this course, and I try to explain it to you step by step and take you by the hand, if your why isn't big enough, you're not going to figure it out, whether I try to help you or someone else tries to help you. This is just kind of constructive criticism, just kind of a way to wrap your head around it. Mindset is extremely important when it comes to getting what you want. and making a goal and having that goal have specific and measurable results. Anyway, I hope this motivates, challenges, and inspires you in some way. All right, I'll wrap this up, and then I'll get back to page 36 of Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Thank you for listening. Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. After searching the internet for realtor websites in North Florida, I concluded that the houses, even in rural areas, were overpriced. At least out of my budget anyway. I needed a for sale by owner property that was a fixer-upper too. So here's what I did. I went to google.com and typed in Dixie County, Florida newspaper. My idea was that the small town newspapers that have a website would list the for sale by owner properties that would be overlooked by major search engines. It turns out they were. The Dixie County, Florida newspaper was online, and I clicked on the classifieds link, then the real estate link. I came across an ad for 9 acres with a 2-1 mobile home and a spring in the backyard for $54,900. A few days later, I drove to Old Town, Florida, met the owner, and I purchased a 9-acre property. I put a $20,000 down payment on the land with arrangements to pay $270 a month for 5 years, 60 payments, and a balloon payment of $25,000. A balloon payment is the final loan payment that is considerably higher than regular payments in order to pay off a loan. After paying for the trailer, I had $22,000 left. I fixed up the trailer and lived in it. The cost of paint and tools amounted to a few $1,000s, leaving me with $20,000. As it was a small town, the only jobs seemed to be at Georgia Pacific, a lumber company just outside of town, and Hardee's, the burger restaurant. Looking through the local newspaper, I saw an ad for tax deed sales. I visited the county clerk's office and asked questions. Lots of questions. I visited the property appraiser's office in the same building and asked questions. I started attending tax deed sales and bidding on land, using the remaining $20,000 that I had left. My goal was to find a property and sell it for a profit. So at this point you might be saying, it was easy for you, you had $20,000. To begin with, it's not easy when you're starting out doing this and you have no experience. Money can only take you so far. Anyone can learn how to do this with a $2,000 investment, even less, and you can do this using someone else's money. You can start with a $500 investment or $1,000 or $1,500, but I suggest you try to start with a $2,000 investment. So attending my first tax deed sale in Dixie County, Florida, I was pretty nervous. I had a few $1,000s cash in my pocket. In my hand, I clutched a binder notebook with notes on the properties up for bid, what they were valued at, their location, if there were improvements such as septic, well, trailer, fence, electric on them or not, and more. I didn't know anyone in the town except for the tax deed clerk and the secretaries in the office, as I had spent so much time there. Some of the bidders at the tax deed sale talked to each other quietly while eyeing me suspiciously, so I decided to make a bold move. I extended my hand and introduced myself to them. It worked. Once we talked and shook hands, I found out what properties they wanted to bid on, and the interesting thing is that most bidders were only at the auction to bid on one specific property. We made agreements not to bid on the properties others wanted. If I did want the same property that someone else wanted, I declined on bidding on it. I gave the locals priority in order to gain trust with them. At the Dixie County tax deed sale, I concentrated on bidding on the 50 by 100 lots in a rural subdivision across the street from my trailer. After purchasing them, often the same day, I would post ads on Craigslist or eBay offering to sell them for 5 times as much, either a cash deal or with financing at 10%. I decided to get others involved and charge them for buying and reselling the properties in their name. Their option was to pay a percentage once the sale was complete, or a flat monthly fee. Those buyers provided an additional income that paid me to research properties, which I was doing anyway. Again, this is something you can do. This is a side note. We're on page 37 for the ebook, Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. So this is something you can do. Type in your state. If you're in a certain state, I was in Florida, so type in state of Florida. Type in your state and counties. So for me, I would type in Florida counties. Write down or type in a notepad or a text file on your phone or laptop or tablet or computer. Type in Florida counties and make a list of all the counties. In Florida, there's 67 counties. If you're in New Mexico, there'll be a certain number of counties. Write down all those counties. Then type in the state, then the counties, then property appraisers, and the state, the counties, tax clerks, and the state, the counties, newspapers. So find the newspapers, find the tax clerks, and find the property appraisers for the counties that you're interested in buying property in. And try to find counties that are rural. Then do research. Maybe move to that county for a short period of time. Maybe just use that county website if you can do that. Research the tax deed properties that are coming up for sale. Then the day before the sale, go and camp or sleep in your car or get a hotel and go to the tax deed and bid on the properties. If you do this in rural counties, it's pretty cool because there's generally less competition. Sometimes the bidders might be suspicious of out-of-towners, but just be friendly with them. Try to do what I do. Try not to bid on the properties they're bidding on. Give the locals priority. And you're likely to make friends, have less competition, and meet the clerks of the courts and the secretaries who work at these, not the courts, who work at the county clerk's website and the property appraiser's website, and just be friendly with them. Learn how to do this. Learn how to bid on tax deed sales for a rural county near you. And then you can do the similar thing to what I did. If you don't have, if you don't have money, or even if you do have money, what you can do for additional income, and it's fun because it is creative, is to find someone who will pay you $250 to $500 a month, and in exchange, if you find properties, you'll bid on properties in their name and buy them in their name, and they'll just pay you a flat fee, and that property will go right to them. Now, that's one way you can do it. You can do this with 3 different people or 4 different people and charge them $500 a month, and then you're making $2,000 a month. Essentially, you're just doing research for them, and then you're bidding on properties for them. You can also do it where they supply the money, and then any profit you make after the money that they put in, you split that 50-50 or 40-60 or 35-65 or however you arrange it. So the way that would work is, say you're in New Mexico and you're attending a tax deed sale at a rural county that's, say it's like an hour away or 2 hours away. Go to that county, go to that tax deed sale. Before you do that, make sure the person who's the investor, has wired you the money. The money's in your bank or it's in cash in hand. And go and bid on the property that they want. Let's say you buy a property for $3,000. Let's say you sell it for $10,000. Well, your profit would be $7,000. So that $7,000 would be split between you and the person who fronted the money. That person who fronted the money would make $3,500 in addition to the $3,000 they put in. So they would more than double their money, and then you would make $3,500. On your end, you would put in the research and you would put in your own expenses. But if you can do this once a month, or you can do 3 deals a month, you can make $12,000 a month. It's really not that difficult. It's a matter of you being committed to doing it. And being committed, I think, takes time and dedication and persistence and discipline. I would suggest if you getting a job that maybe delivering pizzas or doing DoorDash or something where you get cash tips. Living as cheap as possible. Maybe moving back in with your mom or living on a friend's couch in exchange for doing yard work or something, or being like his butler or her butler or something. I know it sounds wacky, but if your why is big enough, then the how will take care of itself. My why to have financial freedom was big enough, so I figured out how to do it. I'm a college dropout. If I can figure out how to do this, you can too. So I just wanted to motivate, challenge, inspire, and hopefully entertain you by getting you excited about this. So you can do this, again, you can do this by having people pay you a monthly fee, you find properties for them, you bid on the properties, they wire you the money, all the profit goes to them. You set up the deal and they pay you a monthly fee. Imagine you have 4 people paying you $500 a month, and it could be different counties, so it's non-competitive. You're making $2,000 a month. Now imagine in addition to that, you have someone who fronts the money, whatever you get it for, whatever you sell it for above what they put in, you split that profit. And that could be another $10,000 a month. You could be making $10,000 to $20,000 a month. Does it take time, dedication? Yes. Are there some risk involved? Yes. But the more you know, the more you can mitigate or lessen those risks. So anyway, back to the ebook, Make Big Profits. Flipping Florida Land. We're kind of at the bottom of page, 37. So we made agreements not to bid on the properties others wanted. If I did want the same property that someone else wanted, I declined bidding on it. I gave the locals priority in order to gain trust with them. At the Dixie County tax deed sale, I concentrated on bidding on the 50 by 100 lots in a rural subdivision across the street from my trailer. After purchasing them, often the same day, I would post ads on Craigslist or eBay offering to sell them for 5 times as much, either a cash deal or with financing at 10%. Excuse me. I decided to get others involved and charge them for buying and reselling the properties in their name. Their option was to pay a percentage once the sale was complete, or a flat monthly fee. Those buyers provided an additional income that paid me to research properties, which I was doing anyway. The single-wide mobile home that I bought and lived in Old Town, Florida, was in Old Town, Florida. It was near the Swanee River, about a 1-minute drive away from a park with a boat ramp that went right into the river. I spent most nights sleeping on the screened-in porch of this property, listening to the sound of wild animals and frogs and other creatures as they participated in their own symphony throughout the night. Nights during the winter months got pretty cold, in the 30s. Excuse me. And this was in Old Town, Florida. The air was fresh from the abundance of trees, oxygen generators, all around. The water came from a deep underground stream, was full of healthy minerals, and I often took cold showers. The water temperature was around 60 degrees, maybe lower, maybe a little higher, as it was exhilarating. Living in Old Town, Florida proved to be a memorable experience. Think about where you live. You can do the same thing that I did. You can find a nearby town or towns that are less popular, visit the tax assessor and the property appraiser, and research both those websites. Research the upcoming tax deed sales. Also, you can find out-of-state owners for properties in the town that you live in, or a nearby town that's rural that might have less competition in doing this. You can find out-of-state owners using the property appraiser's websites and write to them. Send them a self-addressed stamped envelope that's handwritten. Make sure it's handwritten. Or send them a postcard or an index card, a 3x5 index card or a 4x6 index card, and ask them if they're interested in selling their property. And on the same postcard or letter, make them an offer. Keep it simple. We're halfway through. We're halfway through page 39 on Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Thanks for listening so far. And the next section, I'm going to show you step by step a method you can use to find bargain properties in Florida or anywhere else. Thanks for listening so far. Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land, page 39. Think about where you live. You can do the same thing that I did. You can find nearby towns or towns that are less popular. Visit the tax assessor, tax clerk, and the property appraiser websites and research the upcoming tax deed sales. Also, you can find out-of-state owners for properties in the town that you live in or properties in nearby towns and write to them. Yes, send them a self-addressed stamped envelope or a postcard and ask them if they're interested in selling a property. And on the same postcard or letter, making them an offer. Keep it simple. I suggest that when you send the letters or the postcards or a combination of both, handwrite them. Don't just type them and use a handwriting font, because real estate investors do that. Handwrite them. Show that you care. If you're sending a postcard, what I do is, say I'm sending a postcard to Ruth and Harry Brown and they live in Michigan. What I'll do is I'll draw a Ruth and Harry Brown, a figure of them on a sled going down a hill, and then I'll put Michigan. I'll draw an arrow pointing to them, like having a good time. So they'll remember it's a handwritten postcard. You can do this even if you do it with stick figures. Do something that's going to stand out and really care. Show that you care and actually care when you do this. Don't just type something and send out thousands a week or a month. You only really need to send out 20 a week at the most, even 10 a week. And if you spend your time and you actually care when you do it, and you draw a stick figure or draw a picture of the person that you're sending it to, it can be done really, really quickly on a 4x6 postcard or index card or 3x5 postcard or index card. They are likely to remember that. If you send a letter, include a self-addressed stamped envelope, include all your information, offer to handle all the closing costs, handle everything. Make it very, very easy. And also explain to them the reason why you want to buy that property. Even if you want to buy it for investment properties, be honest with them. If you want to use it for camping, whatever you want to use it for, just tell them. And they might say, oh, this is why I wanted to buy that property. And that might help them to empathize with you, because maybe they bought that property originally because they wanted to camp on it and they haven't been back to it, or they had some financial difficulties, or they don't want to, or they have other unforeseen circumstances or obligations and they're unable to camp on it. And you write them and send them a postcard and you say, hey, I'd like to get this because I'd love to camp on it with my friends or family, etc. And they're like thinking, I would like to do that too, and I wasn't able to, so this guy sounds like a nice fellow, so I'll sell him the property. Okay. Enough of a side note. This is page 39, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Here's a step-by-step method you can use to find bargain properties. Number 1, visit the tax assessor or county clerk of court's online website. To do that, just Google or DuckDuckGo or use Bing.com or whatever your preferred search engine is. Do that, search online the town or the city name along with tax assessor county clerk. Excuse me. So if I'm looking for the Levy County tax assessor, I would type in Levy County, Florida tax assessor, or Levy County, Florida tax clerk, or Levy County, Florida tax assessor website, or Levy County, Florida tax clerk website. Find that website, bookmark it. Then I suggest you call them or email them to make sure you have the correct office. Usually if you do not, they can give you their number. Second step, call the county clerk, the clerk of courts, the tax clerk, the tax assessor court, and ask questions, take notes, and research. They're essentially, from my understanding, public servants, and they're very, very nice. Call them, get to know them on a first name basis, research, find out everything you can about upcoming tax deed sales. Number 3, attend a tax deed sale, get a feel for it. Number 4, buy a property yourself and flip it. Sell it for hopefully a profit, or finance it. Sell it on payments at an interest rate for a long-term profit. Or sell it at financing with a 0% interest rate. Number 5, then do exactly what I did. Contact friends and relatives and offer to purchase and resell a property at a tax deed sale. Give them options for payment, either a flat fee of a few $100s a month or a 25% percentage or whatever you sell it for. Show them how they can make a higher percentage than keeping it at the bank. For a year, I lived in Old Town, Florida, attending tax deed sales. I also attended tax deed sales in other counties, Gilchrist, Levy, Madison, and Jefferson. Although I didn't make a huge profit, I was able to work for myself, and living in North Florida among friendly people and beautiful surroundings, springs, rivers, lots of trees, proved cathartic in many ways. Eventually, I returned to West Palm Beach, Florida, and continued to attend sales in nearby counties. This is Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Thank you for listening. Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land, page 40. Mapping the Florida counties. Looking over all the counties, I decided to make a numbered map of Florida, with numbers corresponding to website links for county clerks and property appraisers, along with notes on how to buy tax deed properties. Initially, I planned to use this map and notes for myself, but after getting so many questions from friends, strangers, and other investors, I decided to publish this as a book. Also, seeing all the tax deed sales that were happening every month, I came to a dilemma. There's so many counties with so many different lots going up for auction. Often these tax deed sales were on the same day. On the same date, there will be 2 sales in 2 different counties. Which one should I attend? If I couldn't possibly do this all myself, why should I keep it to myself? Along the way, I've met lots of people who have been helpful and patient in answering my questions, from property appraisers to tax clerks to realtors to title companies, employees to tax deed bidders, and others. Perhaps I could pass on what I've learned. This is another reason why I wrote this book, so others could benefit from my experiences. Read this book, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, thoroughly. Follow the steps on buying and selling tax deed lands in Florida. If you put these ideas into practice, you are likely to double your money, and in some cases do better than that. With an investment of $2,000 or even less, you can start buying land in Florida. How can my experiences help you? If you read this book and put it into practice, you can learn how to 1. Attend and bid at tax deed sales in Florida or anywhere else in the country with confidence. Essentially, tax deed sales are similar, even if they're in different counties or in different states. They're similar, but they might have slight modifications. So once you learn how to do this using Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, you can essentially take that and with modifications, use that in any county in any state in the United States. So if you read this book and put it into practice, you can learn how to 1. Attend and bid at tax deed sales in Florida or anywhere else in the country with confidence. 2. Buy properties for as little as $500. 3. Find property owners who are motivated to sell. 4. Fill out the paperwork necessary for buying and selling properties. 5. Utilize different websites to sell your land. 6. Determine which tax deed sales to attend. Use this book to learn how to buy and sell tax deed properties in Florida. You can do it part-time or full-time. You can do it for fun or for profit or for both. As there are 67 counties in Florida, with most of these having tax deed sales every month, the chance of finding land at low cost is in your favor. In the last 2 chapters of this book, I posted links to the property appraisers and tax clerks in all 67 counties of Florida. Even if you don't want to buy property for yourself, perhaps you know someone who could use some financial help. Consider buying them a lot in Florida. Why not invest in your friends or your children's future by buying a lot in Florida? What's the prime interest at the bank? 5%? Probably less. Land values are going up 3 to 10 times that much annually, maybe more. Make your money work for you by investing it in something that yields greater interest. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 43. Common doubts regarding tax deed sales. You've probably heard about the money that can be made by buying tax deed properties for a low price, then reselling them for a substantial profit. No doubt you've seen the courses on those half-hour infomercials late at night that promise vast wealth for pennies on the dollar. Is that true? Or is this just a ploy to dupe you out of $50 while you're half asleep and easily gullible? Can money still be made buying land at tax deed auctions and reselling the land for a profit? You might be thinking, 1. Everyone knows this by now. 2. The tax deed sales auctions will be crowded and competitive. 3. All the good properties will be bid up to a high price. 4. The leftover scrap properties aren't worth buying anyway. 5. I don't have the money to invest in property. 6. I don't have the time to invest in research to buy properties at tax deed sales. 7. The risk, buying a property with liens, far outweigh the rewards. 8. I don't need the stress. I have a good job and I know what to expect. Let's go over these thoughts. Number 1. Everyone knows about this by now. People do know, for the most part, about tax deed sales, but that doesn't mean they will act on their knowledge or apply themselves to learn how to bid on these properties. Lots of people are busy working to pay off a mortgage or to pay rent and don't have time to get involved in learning how to find, buy, and flip tax deed properties. Others may have the time but don't have the money. Some have the money and the time but don't have the interest. If we're willing to do some research and jump from the diving board of fear into the pool of possibilities, you'll learn how to do this. 2. The tax deed auctions will be crowded and competitive. There is still room to find a bargain and resell it at a substantial profit. How? A number of reasons. Sometimes the sales have a small number of people attending that tax deed sale. I remember attending a sale in Levy County, Florida. There were only 4 bidders. Before the sale, I chatted with everyone there to see what lot they wanted. We made agreements that we wouldn't bid on lots that others wanted for themselves. I picked up a 40 by 100 lot for less than $400. A year later, a lot this size in the same subdivision sold for $5,100. Generally, realtors or private owners sell lots in the subdivision for $2,500 to $2,500. As you can see, there's still a chance that you will be one of a handful of bidders. So research the lots that interest you. Call the tax clerk to verify the lot is still for sale or has not been redeemed or bought back. While you're on the phone, ask them if the tax deed sale is still scheduled for the date that it is listed. 3. All the good properties will be bid up to a high price. Sometimes, but not necessarily. People want different things and usually have limited resources. You'll find that some people want whatever they can purchase cheaply, while others have one property that they're willing to get at any cost, or almost any cost, even if it's more than market value. Attending a tax deed auction is an interesting experience. Recently, I visited an auction in Titusville, Brevard County, with my friend Steve. About 50 lots were up for sale. Excuse me. On the first 20 or so lots, most of them were 1.25 acres and located in remote areas of the county. Excuse me. 2 young ladies sitting in the back bid about $25,000 for 8 of them. Then they left the room. Later they returned but didn't bid on anything. Toward the end of the sale, about 8 lots were up for auction. These lots were 1.25 acre lots in remote areas without roads to them, which went for $1,950 to $2,250 each. I've seen similar lots to these lots sell for $6,000 to $8,000 on eBay. If you were to pick up one of these lots for $2,000, you could sell it for $6,000 to $8,000, making a $4,000 to $6,000 profit, maybe even up to $10,000 to $12,000. You could sell more, probably for $10,000 to $12,000 with financing, giving yourself monthly payments. Now here's where it gets interesting. You buy a lot for, say, $2,250 and you sell it for $6,000, $8,000, or even more on payments. That's how you make the money. Initially, the sale was crowded with about 50 people in the room. Near the end of the sale, however, there were about 25 people in the room and only about 4 people bidding. Save a few $1,000s, research, then attend the sale. See for yourself. 4. The leftover scrap properties aren't worth buying anyway. This is not always the case. Certainly research is required in order to find a property that has value, but even if you get a scrap property, you can sell it. A while back, I attended a Levy County sale of escheated lands. Escheated lands are properties that went to the tax deed, but no one bid on them, so they went back to being owned by the county. These are also called, quote, struck off, end quote, properties, as struck off to the county. In short, these are county-owned lands. At the sale, I purchased 3 lots for under $1,000. The first lot was 15 feet by 165 feet, a corner lot fronting 2 dirt roads. The second lot was 60 feet by 70 feet fronting a dirt road. The third lot was, well, I don't know the exact measurements, but it appeared to be a 25 feet by 70 feet fronting a paved road. The last lot was a triangle shaped where the beginning points of the 25-foot line converged at somewhere near 70 feet. I ended up selling the lots for $2,025, so I did make a profit. Number 5. I don't have the money to invest in property. Do you have $2,000? If you do, you can get started. If you don't, consider cutting out some of the habits that are absorbing your funds. Are you spending $4 to $7 a day on coffee at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts? Try buying coffee at the gas station or fast food chain, or making it yourself. Or try kicking the habit altogether and drinking more water. One of the main reasons why people are sick, according to research, is because they are dehydrated. They don't have enough water. Visit www.watercure.org and www.watercure.com and follow their Water Cure recipe to lose weight, cure disease, eliminate insomnia, and more. 6. I don't have the time to invest in property. Of course you do. You just don't consider it a priority. If it's important enough to you, you will set aside time for it. Ironically, a lot of people work at jobs they don't like and arrive home feeling tired and frustrated. Then they relax by sitting in front of a TV or a smartphone or their computer all night, eating dinner and snacks while watching programs that don't serve to challenge or inspire them in any way. They might be entertained, but they're not challenged or inspired. Hours later, tired and sluggish, they crawl into bed. The next day, it's the same routine. Is that living? Sounds like a treadmill to me, but at least they know what to expect. I wrote this course, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, so you could have a guide that would show you how to buy properties at tax deed sales in Florida, and you can use these same principles to buy properties anywhere in the United States. When it comes down to it, it's all a matter of steps. If you follow the steps, you will be able to get a property and sell it for a profit. Reading this entire course, or even listening to it, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, might take a few hours, but that's not necessary. To start, follow the guidelines to buying tax deeds, step by step. That should take about 30 minutes to read and a few hours to put into practice. Start doing it immediately. Start doing it now. At the end of a year, you might own 12 properties that you can hold for investment or sell for profit. My first year doing this, I bought 12 properties. And how did I start? By visiting the county clerk's office, asking questions, and visiting the property appraiser's office and asking more questions. If you want something, then move in that direction. Make it happen. 7. The risk. Buying a property with liens or is unusable far outweigh the rewards. Are there risks involved in buying property? Do the rewards outweigh the risk? Yes. Over the course of a year and a half, I purchased 15 properties. 2 of them had houses on the lots. The rest were vacant land. All of the properties were purchased at tax deed sales. I researched them, but for the most part did very little or no research into finding out if there were liens or debts attached to them. Thankfully, at the county where I had purchased these tax deed properties, the liens are erased when the property goes to sale. So far, all of these properties have been sold for a profit. 8. I don't need the stress. I have a good job and I know what to expect. As this is a business, there is some stress involved. As you learn how to buy and sell tax deeds by actually attending auctions and buying and selling tax deeds, the stress can be minimized or reduced to bearable levels. The more experience you have, the more insulated you'll feel, or the more insulated you'll be from being affected by the stress. Like surfing, either you ride the wave or it rides you. Think of stress in the same context. Either you ride stress, fear, or it rides you. As you gain experience, the stress will subside to manageable levels. At that point, you're riding the wave. Tax deed sales at the 67 counties throughout Florida can be terrific investments. However, a tax deed is actually the final stage for what was once a tax certificate. What was once a tax certificate, once it goes to sale, becomes a tax deed. Think of a tax certificate being a freshly laid egg, and a tax deed as a freshly hatched egg. Because of the high number of tax certificate and tax deed sales in multiple counties throughout Florida, there was always room, or almost always room, to find land for bargain prices. If you're not interested in buying land, many counties have tax certificate, also known as tax lien sales. These sales provide terrific investments that commonly give you an ROI, return on investment, of 18% to 12% interest. In the next chapter, we'll be discussing the difference between tax certificate or tax lien sales and tax deed sales, and how you can understand the difference between the two. This is Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Thank you for listening. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 49. Understanding the difference between tax liens and tax deeds. Introduction. Why do we pay property taxes? For over 200 years, the United States government has levied taxes against real estate. At the county government level, these taxes fund a number of services, including public schools, law enforcement, hospitals, parks, and road construction. When taxes are not paid, the government does not have the operating capital needed for these programs. What causes a tax lien sale? What causes a tax deed sale? As a way of generating income from delinquent, non-paying taxpayers, county governments offer tax sales at auction to the public. There are 2 kinds of tax sales: tax lien sales and tax deed sales. Tax lien sales. Tax lien sales are those sales in which a winning bidder purchases the right to earn past due property taxes on the property. Here, the buyer's money is used to pay the taxes on the land. The purchaser is given first lien position on title, ahead of judgments, deeds of trust, mortgages, subordinate only to state tax liens. In most cases, tax lien sales begin with a reverse auction format. Usually the bidding starts at 18% and goes lower, 17, 16, 15, 14, etc. The winning bidder owns the tax lien. He doesn't own the property. After 2 or more years, this number depends on the county, the tax lien goes to sale. This is called a tax deed sale. Think of the tax lien as the egg, and think of the tax deed as the egg that's being hatched. The winning bidder owns the tax lien. He doesn't own the property. After 2 or more years, this number varies depending on the county. The tax lien goes to sale. This is called a tax deed sale. The winning bidder of the sale owns a tax deed and thus owns the land. After the tax lien is sold at the sale, the holder of the tax lien or tax lien certificate is paid back his winning bid plus the interest. Why are tax liens such a good investment? Here's why. In other words, if you bid on a tax lien certificate that's valued at $1,000 and your winning bid is 15%, then once the tax lien goes to sale, you will get back your $1,000 with 15% interest over 2 years, amounting to $300. You'll have invested $1,000 and your return will be $1,300. Compare this to putting $1,000 into a checking account that pays 1.21% interest. Over 2 years, your interest is $24.20. Even if you put $1,000 into a 1-year CD or certificate of deposit at 4.91% interest, after 2 years you earn $98.20 in interest. Tax liens are far better investments than putting your money into a bank or in a CD or certificate of deposit. And if there's no bidder for the tax lien after 2 years, you end up with a property which is likely to be worth 4 times what you paid for it, maybe more. After 2 years, the holder of the tax lien certificate can force a public auction of the property. What if no one buys it? If the debt on the lien is not repaid with interest, the purchaser of the lien may foreclose on the property and all subordinate liens are dissolved. Listen to that again. If the debt on the lien is not repaid with interest, the purchaser of the lien may foreclose on the property and all subordinate liens are dissolved. Imagine that. Imagine you have the opportunity to get 1/4 of an acre in some rural county and there's no improvements on it. There's no septic, well, or power. But imagine you're able to get 1/4 of an acre in an area where that 1/4 of an acre is selling, say on eBay or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or wherever, say for $4,000 to $6,000. But imagine if you're able to get 1/4 of an acre, a tax lien on 1/4 of an acre property. And imagine if you only spend $1,000. Now imagine after 2 years, as a tax lien certificate holder, you force the public auction of that property. Now imagine if no one comes to buy that property. You own that property. So you put in $1,000 and you own a property worth $4,000 to $6,000. So much better than putting your money into the bank. So if the debt on the lien is not repaid with interest, the purchaser of the lien may foreclose on the property and all subordinate liens are dissolved. At this point, the purchaser of the tax lien becomes the owner of the tax deed, meaning he owns the property. However, he can sell the property as a quitclaim deed. In order to get title insurance and sell this property as a warranty deed, he must pay a title company anywhere from $500 to $2,500 to, quote, quiet the title, unquote. As you can see, you can make lots of money investing in tax liens. How much? The more you know, the more you apply what you know, the more you are likely to earn. Educate yourself and continue to learn how to work smarter, not harder. Quote, those that work with their muscle can be replaced by the stronger guy. Work with your brain. You can accumulate knowledge working with your brain. With your muscle, you accumulate wear and tear. End quote. David Knight, entrepreneur. Number 2, tax deed sales. At tax deed sales, a property is sold by the county because delinquent, late, or unpaid taxes have not been paid. The owner and the lien holders have been given ample time and have received proper notification that the property will be sold if due taxes are not satisfied. Generally, the property is sold for the sum total cost of the delinquent taxes, accrued interest, and the cost of advertising the sale, usually done for 4 to 6 weeks in a local newspaper. At tax deed sales, or tax deed auctions as they're sometimes called, the winning bidder purchases the deed to a piece of property, becoming the new owner and obtaining all the rights, to the property free and clear of liens, mortgages, etc. Once a property is transferred via the tax deed sale, all other liens against the property, including mortgages, are wiped out with the exception of government liens. If no action is taken when it becomes 7 years old, the tax certificate will expire. The winning bidders must pay $200 cash immediately. Well, this varies according to county, but this is a typical rule. The winning bidders of a tax deed sale typically must pay $200 cash immediately after winning the property. The balance, or the remainder of what is owed on the tax deed sale winning bid, needs to be paid that afternoon or by the next day, depending on the rules of the county. If the winning bidder fails to pay the balance, they lose the $200 deposit and may lose the right to bid on upcoming auctions in that county. Different rules, different regulations. Each county and state has different rules and regulations for their tax deed sales and their tax lien sales. Visit your local county clerk of court or their website, as they handle both kinds of sales, and ask a lot of questions. This is what I did for months in order to learn how to do this. I literally would spend an entire day at the county courthouse. Usually I started visiting the clerk of court and asking what tax deed sales were coming up within the next month and getting a list. After seeing what sales were coming, I would write down the parcel identification numbers of the sales along with the opening bid amount. Then I would walk over to the property appraiser's office. There I would ask the property appraiser or an assistant where the property was located, and I would continue asking questions about learning how to locate the property on a plat map, a giant map that uses section, township, range numbers in order to specify specific areas within a county. Actually, when I first started doing this, I actually made a giant map of the areas that I was visiting, and then I made a smaller map of the real specific areas I was visiting, and I learned all about section, township, range, subdivision, block, and lot numbers of a specific section of a county in North Florida. And then I had a huge counties maps of all the counties in Florida, and I would visit the ones in central, north central, and northwest central Floridas, as the properties there, their tax deed sales weren't well attended, and people were friendlier, in my opinion, than in South Florida. Anyway, back to Make Big Profits, flipping Florida land. Okay, so different rules, different regulations. Each county and state has different rules and regulations for their tax deed sales and their tax lien sales. Visit your local county clerk of court, as they handle both kinds of sales and ask a lot of questions. This is what I did, and I spent months doing this in order to learn how to do this. I would spend an entire day at the county courthouse. Usually I started visiting the clerk of court and asking what tax deed sales were coming up within the next month, and then getting a list. After seeing what sales were coming, I would write down the parcel identification numbers, also known as the parcel control numbers, along with the opening bid amount. Then I would walk over to the property appraiser's office. There I would ask the property appraiser or an assistant where the property was located, and I would continue asking questions about learning how to locate the property on a plat map, a giant map that uses section, township, range numbers in order to specify specific areas within a county. Over time, I learned how to use these maps, determine the location of the property, and find out information about the neighborhood in which it was located, what adjacent properties had sold for, its proximity to selling points like grocery stores, bodies of water, parks, schools, hospitals, etc. The property appraiser clerks were very friendly. I found it odd that there weren't more people doing this. Occasionally someone would come in and search for a lot, but for the most part I was the only one there. Now that you know the difference between tax certificate or tax lien sales and tax deed sales, let's move on to specific steps required to buy tax deed lands in Florida. Again, you can use these steps with modifications probably in any state of the United States of America. So by following this procedure and repeating it, you can learn how to acquire land at any tax deed sale throughout the 67 counties of Florida. Within my first year of doing this, I purchased 15 properties in 3 different counties. If I can do this, anyone can. Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land, page 54. 20 steps to buying tax deed properties. There are a few steps to buying and selling tax deeds, and they are not hard. First, let me caution you. When you tell someone that you intend to spend a few $1,000s on a tax deed, he might respond with a groan, or, "What if it has liens or debts on it?" Or, "There's a reason why it's at a tax deed sale." That's understandable, because they don't know how tax deed sales work, so they assume the element of risk outweighs the potential for profit. My experience has been that it does not. Perhaps they cling to the idea that you've got to be like them and work at a job you may not like for a small amount of money with limited opportunities for growth. Let them be. They're probably happy in their routine, as that's the only thing they know. They're in a familiar flight pattern and they're comfortable with it. Even if they are going in circles, they know what to expect. Now, if you're going in circles, then you know what to expect. And if you're happy with it, then continue with it. But there's something gnawing at you on the inside saying you're meant for bigger, better things or just a change, then go for it. My friend Carrie said something to me. She said, throw the hat over the fence. And I said, "Carrie, what does that mean?" And she said, "If you throw the hat over the fence, then you have to go over the fence to get it. So make the commitment, then do what it takes to fulfill that commitment." So if you want to get into tax deed sales properties, make the commitment, take the risk, and you're likely to get a reward on the other side. So if you have a decision to make, throw the hat over the fence. Then you have to go over the fence to get it. In other words, make the commitment and go for it. Anyway, a lot of people are in a familiar flight pattern and they're comfortable with it. Even if they're going in circles, they know what to expect. But here's one thing you can do for yourself, and maybe even for them as well. Perhaps you can buy a tax deed, resell it for a profit, and then the next time you see them, you can share your story with them and tell them how you made money by buying and selling a tax deed. Or maybe you can offer to borrow $2,000 from them, or $500 or $1,500 to buy a tax deed property, and offer to repay them the entire amount plus an extra $300. And even if what you do fails, pay them back with the $300 anyway and tell them that it failed, but at least you're trying, and they're likely to respect that. Are you excited yet? With $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, you can own land in Florida, especially when you get it at a tax deed sale. You can hold the land while it appreciates in value, or you can sell it for an immediate profit, or you can sell it on payments. It's kind of like a rent-to-own situation. You can finance it. Again, one way you can buy the land without using your own money is, once you've done this a few times and you have proof that it works, say a tax deed sale is coming up, and say there's a property and you expect the property, the highest bid, to be $2,000. Talk to a friend, show them that what you've done so far has been successful, and ask him or her if you can borrow $2,000. And make an agreement with them, and you can write a simple handwritten agreement and get it notarized. Make an agreement with them that whatever you sell it for above the $2,000, you'll split it 50-50. I did this with a friend of mine. At the time I was in Burlington, Vermont. This wasn't at a tax deed sale, but it was another thing. And I heard of a bank in South Georgia selling a double-wide mobile home on 3.17 acres. Anyway, it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath mobile home on 3.17 acres at the top of a hill in a small town in Georgia. And it was a foreclosure, and it was being sold for $7,000. So I convinced him to let me borrow the money to buy it, and I said that we can split any profit above the $7,000. He agreed. So my job was getting in my Honda Civic at the time and driving from Burlington, Vermont to this small town in South Georgia, camping out in front of the property. According to Georgia rule with foreclosure rules, I had to hire a real estate attorney. That was $500. But while the paperwork was closing, which took about a week, I camped out in front of the property. I opened up a window. I kind of crawled into the property, started cleaning it out. I took pictures, and I started pre-selling it on Craigslist on different places. And I got a lot of buyers interested. And the sales price was $37,000. So we end up purchasing this property for $7,000. My friend wires me the $7,000. He even wires me the $500 to pay for the attorney. I pay for the gas, for the food expenses. I was kind of camping there. And we sold the property for $37,000, but on payments. So we sold the property for $1,500 down with a balance over 20 years at 8.5% interest. And then we split the profits. Now, you can do this. Anyone can do this. And you literally don't have to care about real estate. I don't really care about real estate, but I care about freedom, time freedom, travel location freedom, and financial freedom. So that's my why. So my why is big enough that the how I'm going to do it, how I'll figure out how to do it, is going to take care of itself. And that's kind of my takeaway, and maybe that will motivate, challenge, or inspire you to get involved in this. If you want time freedom, initially it'll take a lot of time to sort this out, even if you're using this ebook, but it's a great start. But if you want time freedom, once you figure out how to do this, and once you get good at this, you'll find that the money can come from friends and family and acquaintances and even strangers who are interested in making a lot more money than they could make by putting it in a bank or a credit union or a CD, certificate of deposit, or even in the stock market. And also, it's kind of exciting and it's kind of adventurous, and you do not need a real estate license to do this. It's kind of better if you do not have one. Again, the thing to also figure out is whatever state you're in the United States of America, figure out the local laws and stuff like that. But essentially it's the same with some slight modifications. Anyway, let's get back to Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. 20 steps to buying tax deed properties. So number 1, look at the enclosed Florida counties tax deed sales map. So within the Flip Florida Land and the Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land ebook, you'll see the Florida counties tax deed sales map. And I numbered it for you. So you can pick a numbered county on the map, and above the map you'll see corresponding numbers with county clerks' websites and property appraisers' website. And you can find the list for those numbers at the website that corresponds with this, the companion website for this. So essentially what you do is you look on the map, you pick a county, you click on the corresponding website, and that'll have the county tax clerk's website or the county clerk of court's website, and also the county property appraiser's website. And you get started by opening both of those websites. That's the first step. The second step is you visit the county clerk's website. So we already went over that, but you find the link at the website for the tax deed sales and you click it. Number 3, you look at the tax deed sales page. Usually the tax deed sales page will list the parcel identification number, also called the parcel control number, the opening bid amount, and the tax certificate number. The parcel identification number, the PIN, or the parcel control number, is made up of a series of numbers that represents the location of the property on a plat map. For more information on learning how to use parcel identification numbers, find the chapter Understanding Parcel Identification Numbers. Number 5, print the tax deed sales page. I recommend you print the tax deed sales page because you can go over it with a highlighter. You can have a one color pen, like a black or a blue pen for certain notes, and a red pen for other notes. But you want to make notes on the properties. Find out if the properties has improvements, a septic and well, etc., an electric. Find out if the property is near any areas which might give it value, like a river or a spring or a park or a school or an airport or a 24-hour grocery store, etc. So we're on number 5, print the tax deed sales page. Number 6, visit the property appraiser's website. Now again, the property appraiser's website is going to be linked to the Florida county's clickable map. You're going to get a property appraiser's map and also a tax clerk's map. So you can use that, or you can use the companion website for this, which will have the links to the property appraiser's websites for the counties across Florida. Now, if you're reading this book and you're in a state that's outside of Florida, literally just search on Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever your preferred browser is, etc. And say you're living in Amarillo. I think Amarillo is. Say you're living in Houston, Texas. If you want to find the tax clerks and the property appraiser literally just type in Houston, Texas, county. And then once you find that county, search for this. Houston, Texas, name of the county, tax clerk. And then go to that website and bookmark it. Now to find the property appraiser, search for Houston, Texas, the county of Houston, Texas, whatever that is, property appraiser, and then you'll find the website and bookmark it. And that's literally how you find the websites. So if you want to find all the counties for Texas, if you want to find a rural county where there's less competition for tax deed properties, and you might be able to find out-of-state owners who own properties who are willing to sell because they don't want to pay taxes on something they don't visit or they're not getting any money from, what you could literally do is just search for state of Texas counties or Texas counties. There'd be a bunch of counties, right? Save that website or write it down as a text file or both, and then search for Texas, the name of the county, property appraiser. Texas, the name of the county, tax clerk. And you can find the property appraisers and tax clerks for the different counties and then attend the sales. You can do the same thing I did, which is what I was doing in North Florida, but you can do it for rural counties in your state. And this is what I suggest you do to start off. Okay, back to the ebook. So print the tax deed sales, visit the property appraiser's website. Number 7, go to search records. Usually you'll have the opportunity to search the parcel identification number or the name of the owner. Usually the name of the owner is required to be typed in last name first, first name last. After you type in the parcel identification number, click on the search option or hit enter or return on your keyboard. Number 8, examine property information. At the new page, you'll see information on the property, including the size of the lot, the use codes, the property taxes, and the last sales date. Make a note of the size of the lot, the last sale date, and the price it sold for, and the land use code. If the land use code is a number, you can usually click it to see its land use, whether it's vacant residential, commercial, agricultural, a combination of these, or something else. Print this page. Number 9, visit GIS. The upper right-hand side of the new page will give you a GIS, Graphical Information System map. Click it. Number 10, examining aerial view. A new page will appear, giving you an aerial view of the property and a list, usually to the right, with useful information, last sales date, sales price, owner information, market value. Print this page. Number 11, call the property appraiser and ask questions about the lot. Now this is very important. Call the property appraiser and ask questions about the lot. Their contact information is available at their website, usually the first page. Ask them if the property is buildable, if it's near a school, an airport, a hospital, a river, a body of water. Also ask them if it's near a dump, if it's near a toxic chemical spill, if it used to be a hazardous waste things, if it's near a paper mill, maybe that smells weird or something. Just ask them a lot of questions. Ask them if any major infrastructure, highways, shopping centers, theme parks are being planned nearby. This is key. You want to find out if stuff is coming into the area that's going to give it value. So if there's a bunch of lots that no one's buying, but you find out, you just make a simple call, and it takes you 15 minutes, and you're talking with a really nice clerk who's giving a lot of information. They might tell you, hey, there's a highway being planned, or there's this thing coming into town, and boom, you buy that at a low price, and then once the highway comes in or whatever, you have something of major value. Anyway, so ask if there's any major infrastructure, highways, shopping centers, theme parks being planned nearby. You can find the Florida Department of Transportation website. Now again, if you're in a state outside of Florida, you can find their DOT, their Department of Transportation, to find out what's being planned nearby. Find out if any highways or off-ramps are being planned in the vicinity of the property you intend to purchase. Find out everything you can about the lot. If possible, visit the lot by calling the property appraiser and asking for directions. When you visit the lot, bring a notebook, a pen, and a camera, or just your phone camera. Walk the entire property if you can. Take notes. If you're going to a rural area, just be careful. You want to make sure that the neighbors don't think you're up to nefarious activities. Maybe bring like comfortable shoes with socks. Bring off. Maybe bring pepper spray if there's a bear or something. Maybe bring a pocket knife. Just be careful. Protect yourself. So this is on section 11. Ask these questions. You can ask these questions to the property appraiser, clerks, or employees. Is trash being dumped here? Are there low areas that flood, indicated by standing water or areas of dampness in spite of little rainfall? So you want to find out if it's in low-lying, if it's in the floodplain, does it flood there, how often, etc. Does it appear to have septic or well? Is power, electric pole, and phone, telephone pole nearby? Another way to find out information about the property is talk to the neighbors. Ask about the area, find out as much as you can. So you could literally go to a rural area, do all these recommended steps so far, and during the day, just be really polite and just go to the neighbor's house, knock on the door, and say, "Hey, can I talk to you for 5 minutes? I'm thinking about purchasing this property, blah blah blah." And they might be really helpful. They might not be helpful. It's really up to you. So number 16, call the tax clerk and ask questions about the tax deed sale rules. So their contact information is at their website, usually the first page. So for the tax clerk's website, say you're looking to go to tax deed sale properties in Palm Beach County, Florida, you would search for Palm Beach County, Florida, clerk of courts, or Palm Beach County, Florida, tax clerk. Go to that website and you'll see the contact information, usually at the first page. So what you want to do is you want to call them, you want to ask them what time the tax deed sale is, to make sure that the time is still the time it's supposed to be as on the website. Confirm that the sale is still happening on the date. Ask them the specific location of where the sale is held, and ask them what the procedures are. This is really important. Find out if you need to have a cash down payment, if you need to pay the balance by 5 o'clock that day, if you need to pay the balance by 24 hours or 12 hours later, what the balance needs to be paid in, etc., etc. Just to go back to something before, regarding when you call the property appraiser's website to ask about the property, one thing you can do is, the reason why you're asking, if they start to get annoyed, one thing you can ask them, you can just say, is your website updated? And if it is, then you can say, thanks, I can find all the answers at the website. But sometimes the websites are not updated, so what you're doing is you're calling the property appraiser and also the tax clerk just to double check to make sure everything on the website is accurate. And you can almost call and say, hey, I'm not trying to bother you. I just want to make sure this is accurate because this is blah, blah, blah important to me, blah, blah, blah. Establish some rapport when you talk to them. Anyway, back to 16. So call the tax clerk and ask questions about the tax deed sale rules. At most tax deed sales I've attended, one must sign up in order to bid. Then that person is given a number, and once the bid starts, you say your price and hold up your number. That way they know your name. If you're the winning bidder, you have to pay a $200 cash deposit right then and there. Once the sale ends, you have to pay the balance, the winning bid minus a $200 deposit, by 4 p.m. that afternoon or by 1 p.m. the following day. This varies according to the county, so please find this out in advance. Usually you can pay the balance within 24 hours, but some counties require that the balance is paid sometime later that afternoon. So you want to call ahead, you want to find out. If you do not pay the balance, you will lose a $200 deposit. In many cases, you lose the right to bid on future properties at tax deed sales. Number 17, attend the sale. At most of the tax deed sales that I've attended, people dress casually, wearing denim jeans and collar shirts. It's rare to see someone in a suit unless they're a lawyer representing a buyer. Before you attend the sale, remember to bring your money, cashier's check, money order, cash, your notes on the tax deeds lands for sale, and anything else you need. It's a good idea to keep a list, and before you leave, cross everything off to make sure you don't forget anything. As soon as you arrive at the courthouse, visit the county clerk's office and ask if any of the tax deed lands have been redeemed or bought back by the original owner. If this is the case, cross them off your list. If this happens to a lot that you were hoping to win, look over the other lots and determine what lot would fit your needs, what you can afford, and what would bring you the most profit. Are tax deed sales crowded? Sometimes. Call the tax clerk and ask them if they expect a crowd. If you attend a tax deed sale that is crowded, research another county and attend their sale. Eventually you'll find one that has less competition. The bottom line is that it's land, and everyone for the most part wants to own land in Florida. Eventually, you will determine the best counties for which to attend tax deed sales, those counties that offer lots of properties for bid with a small number of people attending the sale. Number 18, figuring out the competition. At some tax deed sales, you will see a lot of people. At some tax deed sales, you will see 4 to 10 people, maybe less. These are the ones you want to attend, the ones that have 4 to 10 people or even less. At the bigger tax deed sales, the bidding is usually competitive. At tax deed sales that are less well attended, you can arrive early, talk to the other bidders, find out what they want, and agree not to bid on the properties that they want. I've done this on several occasions at tax deed sales. Usually these are small towns where the bidders know each other. Even if you're an outsider, greet someone, introduce yourself, and ask them if it's going to get crowded. After they respond, ask, "So, what properties are you trying to get?" You'll be surprised how friendly people are if you extend the friendship first. So, this is really important. Introduce yourself, share something personal about yourself. Hey, I'm here, I'm just trying to get a property for blah, blah, blah. And and this will put people at ease. Don't do it to manipulate people. Literally be the nicest guy in the room. Be clever, but be nice at the same time. Go in, introduce yourself, say, yeah, I'm trying to get this property here because I'd like to, maybe build a cabin here or have this little thing where I can come here because I'm into canoeing or whatever it is in your area that they offer for fun. And then just say, hey, what property do you want to get here? And then if you find out, I would tell them, say, okay, I'm not going to bid on that property. And then really just be friendly with them. Anyway, you'll be surprised how friendly people are if you extend the friendship first. Number 19, once the tax deed sale starts. After the tax deed sale starts, pay attention to the clerk's legal description of the property. Know what you're bidding on. Keep calm. Even at crowded sales, you'll find that a handful of people bid past a certain money amount. Sometimes, as soon as they leave, everyone starts bidding as the highest bid amount has been drastically reduced due to the high rollers leaving. So in other words, sometimes at these tax deed sales, there'll be a few people that are just bidding up things crazy, but they're usually interested in one or a few specific properties. After they get the property, generally they leave. And the bidding won't go up, and then you can get something at a very low price. Number 20, attend sales in different counties. If you experience a large crowd at your first tax deed sales and the bids are run up to prices higher than you can afford, do not get discouraged. Consider this a learning experience, and that way make it useful. What did you learn? You learned that you might want to attend a sale in a different county where there are more tax deed lands available for auction, probably at lower bids. That's what I try to do, even if the county is hours away. If I can find a tax deed auction that has 50 lots, with a lot starting at near $1,200, I'll try to attend that sale. Even if it is crowded, the higher number of lots make the odds in your favor. I met someone at a tax deed sale who visited 15 different counties in Florida. She has 500 lots. She began doing this years ago, starting with $34,000, and she now has $5 million in equity. Make big profits flipping Florida land, page 60. Overview. As an overview, these are the steps of buying and selling land using the Florida Counties Tax Deed Sales Map. Number 1, visit the Florida Counties map. Number 2, pick a county or a few counties. Number 3, visit the websites, both the property appraisers and clerk of court. Number 4, determine the date and times of upcoming sales. Number 5, research the sales. Number 6, attend the sales and bid on a property. If it's competitive, you can also research the GIS, Graphical Information System, map link, located at the property appraiser's website, and look for out-of-state owners who might be tired of paying property taxes. Send them a letter offering to buy their lot. Or you can send them a 4x6 index card or a 3x5 index card. But a letter, you can include a self-addressed stamped envelope. But because so many people use email and text and phone, I think an index card or a postcard works just as well, if not better. If you send 50 letters, you might get a few responses, but these responses might yield a profit of a few $1,000s, enough to get started doing this part-time or even full-time. Keep at it. Eventually, you might be able to do it full-time. What I typically do is I'll send out a 3x5 index card or a 4x6 index card. What I'll do is go to the Dollar Tree or Dollar Store or Walmart, or even order them from Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Index cards, usually 4x6. And I'll write the person's name, of course, on the blank side, and then my address at the top left corner. But what I'll do is say there's a guy named Bob Jones, and he lives in Vermont. And let's say I'm sending this guy a letter asking to buy his property. And let's say it's Bob and Mary Jones, and they live in Vermont. What I'll do is on the blank side of the index card, I'll write Bob and Mary Jones, their address. Top left side, of course, write my name and address. And then what I'll do is I'll put their name, I'll put like a billboard around it. And then I'll usually put like a little ladder with like stick figures climb up to the billboard. And then I'll have an arrow pointing to one stick figure. It'll say Bob and another one Mary. So this personalized it. I'll just draw something really quick. And I'm guessing they'll keep the postcard because they'll think, oh, this is interesting. And maybe if they have gotten letters, they've gotten those forum letters, or those forum letters that are supposed to look like they're handwritten, but they're obviously not. And I think that they like these type of cards because I don't send out that many postcards and I get a lot of responses. And I think it's just because of the personal touch. So I would suggest you do the same thing. Anyway, back to the ebook. If you don't want to write a letter to a property owner, you can get their contact information by going to whitepages.com, or just going to a place that has a reverse search where you can type in a name to get a number or an address. I suggest if you call them, evenings are best or late afternoons, politely introduce yourself and just ask them if they're interested in selling their property. So what if there is more than one tax deed sales on the same day? If you find out that there's 2 tax deed sales on the same day in 2 different counties, which one should you attend? Call the county clerks for both counties and ask them if they expect the sale to be crowded. Ask them if the sale has been canceled. Ask them if any of the properties have been redeemed or paid off so the property is no longer up for auction. Prior to the sale, find out as much as you can. I suggest you get one sheet of paper and you divide it in half and answer all these questions about the one sale on one half of the page and answer all these questions about the other sale on the other half of the page. And then just pick which one you should go to based on the answers. If one of the counties is closer but only has 10 properties for sale, and another county is much further away but has 50 properties for sale, I would suggest you pick the county that has more properties, especially if it's not going to be as crowded. But again, call the county clerk's website and ask them if they expect a crowd. They're usually very friendly. And by doing this, you can the more information you find out, the better chance you have of finding a really good property that you can resell and make a nice, tidy profit. So although buying tax deeds presents enormous opportunities to purchase land at a low cost, it requires competitive bidding, which can sometimes drive the price beyond what you're willing to pay. When that happens, what will you do? You did the research, you attended the sale, you have the money in your wallet or purse. Is there another way to find land at a low cost? Yes. Make big profits flipping Florida land, page 62. 3 ways to find bargain land. Number 1, tax delinquent lands or delinquent tax rolls. When you search for tax delinquent lands, you'll be pleasantly surprised by what you find. Some counties have text files listing hundreds of properties that are tax delinquent, wherein the owners are late in paying their property taxes. As this requires looking over a large list, it's a relatively untapped market for finding low-cost properties. If you don't see any links for county-owned lands, simply call the county clerk and ask if they have a list that they can mail you. It might require a few dollars, but it's worth the investment. Using your computer and the Florida County's tax deed sales map, pick a county that interests you and visit the website for the county clerk. Find a link for tax deed sales and click it. At the next page, look for a link that says delinquent tax roll or delinquent taxes. Click on that link. A page will appear that lists owners of lands who have been delinquent on their taxes. Often these owners are in a crisis situation, like a divorce or a medical emergency, job layoff, car breakdown, etc., or some unfortunate, unforeseen circumstance, and they cannot pay their property taxes. You can type their name and address into whitepages.com or a website that's similar and do a reverse search for their phone number, or you can just write them a letter, or maybe you can find them on social media. I would suggest you try all of these, but I think writing a letter is a good way to do it. I wouldn't even write a letter with a self-addressed stamped envelope. I would just send them a 3x5 postcard or a 4x6 postcard. Be really nice and polite. Maybe draw a picture of them on the front doing something fun, so they'll keep the postcard, and maybe put it in the fridge and someone will ask them about it and they'll flip over the postcard and they won't throw it away, and then they'll be like, hey, I do want to sell this property. And the main thing you want to do is get them to call you, text you, or email you, or all three, and you want to start a conversation to find out what their situation is. So once they do call you, or if they do call you, ask them if they're interested in selling their land. If they ask you how you found out about it, be honest with them. Tell them you were looking at tax delinquent lands for sale because you want to buy a property in the area, and tell them why you want to buy a property in that area. So ask them if they're interested in selling their land. Offer to pay cash, take care of the paperwork fees, offer to take care of all the issues and sort it out, and tell them you can close in 7 days. Again, if you do this sending a letter, you can enclose just a postcard for them to return it to you, or a self-addressed stamped envelope. But I suggest you just send a postcard. Include all your information and encourage them to call you, text you, etc., to get in touch with you. Or even, message you on social media. So to sum it up, you're finding the property owners who are late in paying their property taxes. So perhaps they're interested in selling their properties. Simply send them a postcard or a letter with offer to buy, or call them if you can. Now, when you write them that postcard or that letter, understand that they're going through a weird circumstance, or maybe something happened where they're just forgetting to pay the property taxes. So just try to be understanding and empathetic, and I think that will shine through. I mean, even if they don't sell the property to you, it's a relationship where something good is likely to return to you because you're being kind to them. So buying land with using the list of delinquent tax rolls. So most counties in Florida have a large list of delinquent tax rolls that contain the addresses of property owners who are late in paying their property taxes. So this presents another way for you to buy land from someone who may want to sell. So once you find a parcel you like, find the address of the owner. At this point, you can write them a letter or postcard, or call them. If you call them, here's a sample script you can use. Sample script. Hi, my name is your name, and I'm calling to ask you if you're interested in selling your property in blank county. Owner. How did you get my number? I'm researching property at the tax clerk's website, and this property came up with delinquent taxes and includes your address, so I was just wondering if you're interested in selling your property. Owner. No. Are you interested maybe in selling this at a future date? Owner. Not at this time. Would it be okay if I called you back in 2 weeks? Owner. Yes. What will you give me for it? Do you know what equivalent property is sell for? Owner. I don't know. I'll have to do some research. I could give you, say, an amount, and I could pay all the closing costs to handle all paperwork fees and stuff. I can take care of it all for you. I can give you this amount. Owner. I'd like to research this first. Call me back in 2 weeks. The thing is, I might not have the money in 2 weeks. I have a limited amount of money, and I'm going to be making some other calls to people today. But if I do have the money, I'll call you back in 2 weeks. Owner. I don't know if I want to sell it. Well, I need to find a property by 3 days from now. How about this? You think about what you want to get for it. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Does that sound good to you? So that's one sample script. Maybe that's a little bit too pushy, but you can modify it for your taste. And again, we're on page We're on page 63 of Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Another thing for you to do is just call them, say, hey, I'm calling because I saw you have a property in blah, blah, blah county, and I was wondering if you're interested in selling it. And then just wait. And then if they say, who is this? You could say, well, say your name, and I'm calling, say where you're calling from, the area, the county, or the town, whatever you feel comfortable. And then I would suggest I would say, if they say, who is this? I would say, hey, my name's blah, 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 and I'm calling from blah, 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 and I'm interested in buying land in the area because I hear that there's really good fishing, or because I hear there's really good hunting, or because I hear that I can maybe, that it's really beautiful during the fall, and I'm thinking of building a cabin. Now this is a good way to do things because you're telling them stuff that they might be interested in doing, that they're unable to do, and they almost might be rooting for you. So it's almost kind of a weird way to do it. But again, you could, I'm going off script here, so I hope you don't mind. But again, what you could do is call them, like, hello, who's this? And you say, hey, this is say your name, and I'm calling from blah, blah, blah. Oh, what do you want? Well, I see that you have land in blah, blah, blah county, and I was just curious to see if you're interested in selling it. And if you are, and if they don't say anything, you can say, if you are, I can pay you this amount, and I can pay all closing costs, and you don't have to do anything. I'll just send you a contract, and then I'll send you the money. Does that sound good to you? Just try out different things and put a recorder on your smartphone so you can record all these calls, so you can see what kind of works best when you're offering to buy someone's property, and then use that. And then you might have a bunch of scripts that work well for you that you can use over and over again. Anyway, back to the ebook. Page 65, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Some other questions to ask the property owner. Can you tell me what's going on with the property? Number 1. Number 2, do you own it outright? Is it in a trust? Number 3, does this property have title insurance? Does it have a clean title? Number 4, why are the taxes delinquent? Number 5, is it buildable? Are there buildings on it? Number 6, is there a well, septic, electric? Is it a paved road? Number 7, does the property flood? Is it in a flood zone? Number 8, how long have you owned it? Number 8. Number 9, do you live there now? Number 10, is the property wooded? Is it vacant? Is it a cleared lot, or are there trees everywhere? Number 11, does the property have an easement or road to it? Number 12, does the property have trash on it? When was the last time you visited it? Is it abandoned? Whatever questions you can think of, ask. The more you know, the better. For the most part, people like answering questions. Allow the property owner to wander with his answers, and when he does, be genuinely interested in listening to what he has to say and asking follow-up questions. So you don't just want to be like, does it have this? Does it have this? Does it have this? Does it have this? Ask a question, maybe make these questions a bit more polite. Let them wander with the answers. If you can, record it on your smartphone or take notes, or both. Find out as much information as you can. Be polite. So now we're at number 2 in just a moment, please. And 3 ways to find bargain land. The first way is tax delinquent lands or delinquent tax rolls. And the second way is county-owned lands. So county-owned lands are lands that are owned by the county. These are also called escheated lands or struck-off properties, as in lands that have been struck off to the county. Usually these lands have been to the tax deed sale, but for whatever reason, no one has bid on them. If the county has these lands, you'll find them at the county clerk website by clicking on the link that reads tax deed sales. Look over these lands and see if they are worth buying from the county. My experience regarding county-owned lands has been mixed. At a Levy County sale of escheated properties, I purchased peculiar-shaped lots, 15 by 65, 60 by 70, at a low price and sell them for a profit, doubling my investment. Looking over the Pasco County Clerk website, I noticed information on ordering a list of county-owned properties. The cost was 15 cents a page, and the list was 31 pages. Eagerly, I enclosed a check for $4.05, a thank you note, and a self-addressed stamped envelope into a 9 by 12 envelope and mailed it. A week later, I received the list. After tearing it open, I spend the next 2 hours searching for the parcel identification numbers at the Pasco County Property Appraiser's website. Halfway through the list, I stop the search. The properties so far have been scraps, strange sizes like 1 foot by 75 feet, completely unusable. In short, county-owned lands are worth looking into, but you might want to limit your time doing this. So it was kind of hilarious. I was all excited. I sent a check for $4.05, a thank you note, a self-addressed stamped envelope into a 9 by 12 envelope, mail it. Get a list of properties, 31 pages, and the lots are just so peculiar shaped, literally a lot, 1 foot by 75 feet, hilarious. But then again, if that lot's super cheap and I buy it, and there's someone who wants to buy the lot from me, maybe I can sell it to the next door neighbor for 10 times as much. There's also that. So there's lots of possibilities here. So number 3, calling out-of-state owners. Oh, this is good. And again, we're at, just a moment, 3 ways to find bargain land. Number 1, tax delinquent lands or delinquent tax rolls. Number 2, county-owned lands or cheated lands or struck-off lands. Number 3, calling or contacting, emailing, texting out-of-state owners. This is a fun one. So visit the county that interests you and visit the website for the county clerk. Type in the last name or just make up a last name. A list of names will appear. You can do this for the property appraiser's website too. Pick a name and click on the link. A new page will appear with property information. Write down the parcel identification number and the first and last name of the owner. Visit the property appraiser for the county. Click on record search, and using the parcel identification number or the first and last name of the owner, a new page will appear that has a link to a GIS, Graphical Information System map. Click that link. At the top of the GIS map, Graphical Information System map, excuse me, will be icons or symbols. Click the icon that moves you further away from the image. Usually this icon is a minus symbol. Using the GIS map, start clicking on different lots to find ones that belong to out-of-state owners. When you do find one, contact them and ask them if they want to sell. Offer to pay cash or a bank wire. Cover the closing fees and finish the sale within 7 days. Navigating the GIS map can be fun and slightly addicting. It's kind of like playing Monopoly except with real money, so be careful. Finding out-of-state owners is a great way to do this. Literally, it is like playing Monopoly. You get on the property appraiser's website, look around, see the out-of-state owners, contact them on social media or doing a reverse information lookup website, or sending them a postcard or letter or all 3 or 4 of these. And just tell them you're interested in buying their property, tell them why, and ask them if they're interested in selling it. And sweeten the pot by putting in a PS after your name. PS, I can pay all closing costs, handle all legal fees, and take care of everything. Please let me know within 72 hours. Or say, please let me know within a week, as I'm looking at other properties as well, and as I have a limited cash amount. So you want to let them know that you are looking at properties in the area, why you're looking at properties. Maybe you like canoeing or hunting or fishing, or you like the area, blah, blah, blah. And let them know you have a limited cash amount. So you are letting them know that if they just throw away your postcard or forget about it, you're not going to have the money to buy their land at some point when they want to sell it. So if they want to sell it, they need to get in touch with you as soon as possible. So as you can see from all these different ways, there are a number of ways to buy land without having to pay for realtor fees or even use a title company. In the next chapter, we'll discuss the steps necessary to finding land owners who are motivated to sell you their property. Often you'll find that these landowners are tired of paying property taxes and ready to sell, yet don't want to deal with realtors. So this is a win-win situation for both parties. Let's look at 3 more ways to find bargain land. Make big profits flipping Florida land, page 68. Specific steps to buying land that's not advertised for sale. Some of these steps are very similar to the steps to buying tax deed lands. However, these lands are not up for auction at the tax deed sale. Thus, you don't have to competitively bid for the property. Using this technique is fun and profitable if applied correctly. Once you know how to search for land in Florida using the property appraiser's website, you can offer to buy land from owners who no longer want it. How? Follow the steps below. Number 1, pick a county. Look at the Florida counties map and pick a county. Now, if you're outside of Florida, look at your state, find some counties, and pick a county. If you're using this, find the county number on that map. Visit the corresponding tax clerk's office and look over the land that is available at the next tax deed sale. Get the parcel identification numbers for the lands that interest you. Number 2, visit the property appraiser for that county. Search for the land using the parcel ID number. Hit the GIS map option button. You'll see an aerial view of the lot along with adjacent or neighboring lots. To find out information about the neighboring lots, including who owns the lot, along with the adjacent or neighboring lots. To find out information about the neighboring lots, including who owns them, how much they paid, and when the last sale was, click on the neighboring lot. Look for property owners of neighboring lots. Find their contact information, write down their contact information. Number 4, go to whitepages.com or another reverse search engine and type in their contact information and search for their phone number. Call or text them. Ask them if they would like to sell their land and offer them a price that's fair and satisfactory to both of you. If you feel shy about calling or texting them, send them a letter. I suggest you send them a postcard with your contact information in it and draw a doodle caricature of them on the front of the postcard. Something that's polite and fun, not being mean or rude, but just something so they keep it. They do something with a personal touch. Add your contact information to the postcard so they can reply with very little hassle. Number 5, if they say no. If they say no, ask them, would you like me to call you back in 2 months? Maybe you'd be interested then. If they say no, tell them that if they change their mind or need money for an emergency, they have your contact information. Now that's important. If someone says, I'm not interested in selling the property, reply, is it okay if I call you back in like 3 weeks and ask you or text you or email you? Would that be okay with you? And if they say no, say, okay, well, thanks for your time. And if you change your mind or you need money for an emergency, please contact me because I'm still interested in buying your land. However, keep in mind that I have a limited amount of money and I'm also looking at other land to buy, so I might not have it at that point. You want to leave them with that lingering feeling that, whoa, if I don't sell my land to this guy or this girl and I call them back in a few weeks, 1, they might have spent the money they have on someone else's land, and then I'll still be stuck with my land. Leave them with that feeling because you want them to know that you're interested in buying their land, but you have a limited amount of cash and you're looking at other lots. So it's best if they let you know as soon as they can. So number 6, if they say yes, that they're interested in selling you their land, tell them you'll be sending them a warranty deed along with instructions for filling it out and a copy of a check for $250 or less that's being held in escrow by a local title company to be used as a down payment for the property. Once you receive the warranty deed, or once the title company receives the warranty deed, you can send them the balance of the remaining amount you owe them. If they want the entire amount, agree to leave the entire amount to be held in escrow by a title company, and you'll send them verification of that. If they do not want to use a title company or another escrow service, tell them you cannot close on the property. A title company is necessary as it is an intermediary between buyer and seller in order to guarantee that both parties are happy with the arrangement. Using an escrow agency protects both the buyer and the seller. Number 7, once you receive the warranty deed, make a copy for yourself and send the original to the county clerk or court for for recording purposes, along with the original warranty deed, include number 1, the recording fee for the first page and additional pages. Usually the recording fee for the first page is $10, and the recording fee for each additional page is $8.50, but this varies according to the county, so visit the county website first. Also, give them a call. It's important that you call them to verify the exact price. The recording fee needs to be paid with a cashier's check, typically. Make the check out to the clerk of court. Please verify this by calling the county where the land is located. So, we're at Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 69, number 7, once you receive the warranty deed. Now we're on page 70. Number 2 of this, a DR-219 form. I found out recently that a DR-219 form or a Department of Revenue form is no longer necessary. But call the county clerk and ask them. It might vary according to county. But as far as I know, it's not necessary in the state of Florida. So we're going to skip number 2. Now we're on page 71 of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Number 3, mail the deed, the forms, a self-addressed stamped envelope. So you want to send the original warranty deed and enclose a self-addressed stamped envelope. Also send a note of what's going on. Number 1, number 2, number 3, your contact information, blah, blah, blah. Send the cashier's check and enclose the self-addressed stamped envelope so they can mail the warranty deed back to you once they've recorded it. So you want to send them 8 by 11 or 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 12 is even better envelopes. They can mail you back the warranty deed without folding it if you want to keep it nice and straight. Blah, blah, blah. So once you purchase some land at a bargain price, you want to sell it. But you don't want to spend the 5 to 10% realtor fees. So the next chapter discusses some online resources for you selling the land via the internet. Every year, people spend millions of dollars buying things on the internet. Familiarize yourself with the sites where you can sell land or properties or mobile homes or houses. Start using these websites to sell your land and more of the money can be yours. So keep in mind that these sites are only a few. Sniff around for additional websites that connect you with eager buyers. Make a list of them, reviewing them on cost, the number of viewers reached, the number of sales made, and so forth. This is Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 72. Online resources for selling tax deeds. We're going to go over a few websites for selling your tax deeds. eBay. eBay provides a number of different ways to sell your lot. Because eBay might have changed your rules since this ebook has been written, I'm not really going to read through this, but one website for selling your lots is eBay. Other websites for selling your lots include Craigslist, Craigslist.com. Another way you can sell your lots is through Facebook Marketplace. I would suggest you try the website duckduckgo.com. That's duckduckgo.com, and search for best places to sell real estate online. Search for best places to sell land online, best places to sell property online. I would suggest you use the website duckduckgo.com to search for best places to sell land or properties or real estate online. And also use the website bing.com, bing.com, for best places to sell properties or real estate online. And then go to those places and list the property. On page 77 of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, one of my bought for $2,800, sold for $20,000. One of the first purchases I got was a house. I got it at a tax deed sale for $2,800. And when I purchased this, I thought I was buying a vacant piece of land on a corner lot across the street from a park in a poor section of town in northwest Florida. I got this at a tax deed sale, and I remember looking at the overgrown lot from a distance and being apprehensive to get out of my car to walk up to it. But after the tax deed sale, I expressed my reservation at paying so much, $2,800. And the clerk said if it wasn't worth anything, then the other buyer wouldn't have been so competitive with me. Good point. If he's bidding on it, she said, it's worth something. Then she said she thought it had a house on it. I was pretty surprised. After filling out the paperwork, I drove to where the lot was. Sure enough, it was on the corner and surrounded by overgrown trees and bushes. I got out of the car and walked up to it. There was a house on it. It was abandoned and gutted inside. Wood frame. I spent 3 or 4 days cleaning out the trash and taking it to the dump. I posted the house on Craigslist.com as a fixer-upper house handyman special. And I posted this even though I was in North Florida. I posted this in New Jersey. I think I posted it in New York, upstate New York, Delaware, Ohio, Michigan, places in the Northeast. Anyway, a New Jersey resident expressed interest, and then he bought it for $20,000. He gave me $2,000 down payment, then made payments every month for 6 months for $300 a month. At the end of the 6 months, he sent me a check, which was a balloon payment to cover the balance, the remaining of the mortgage. He sent me a check for $16,700. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't wood. So this house was a 2-1 CBS concrete block system house. A major fixer-upper on a small lot, 50 feet by 120 feet, 125 feet deep. It was sold as a quitclaim deed. I sold it as a quitclaim deed to him. The house was in such poor shape that I took pictures of the house and sent the pictures to the prospective buyer. I also sent him area brochures showing him the location of the house on a map to the buyer after he paid me the down payment. I wanted the buyer to know specifically as much as he could about what he was buying. So with the sale on this house, I combined a low down payment, $2,000, with flexible financing, $300 a month, and a balloon payment of $16,700. He got a house in Florida, and I earned a profit of around $17,000, minus about $200 in escrow fees, postage, and a title search. So in order to drop a contract, I met a realtor at Hardee's for lunch, and paid her, I think, about around $25, plus I paid her lunch. So this is how easy it was for me to drop a real estate contract. I call a local realtor, invite her to lunch, I pay for her lunch. She helps me drop. I say, hey, what will you charge for this? She says $25. Pay her $25, buy her lunch. She helps me drop a contract and papers, tells me what I need to do. And then I talked with the local title company, and they handle the closing for only $100. This is how easy it is to sell property. You don't have to know anything about real estate. You just have to figure out, okay, if I buy this for this much and I sell it for this much, I'll make a massive profit. And then in between, to figure out the paperwork, I'm going to call a realtor to help me do the paperwork, blah, 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 and give them cash, pay them lunch, blah, blah, blah. So, and I sold it as is. The sale and purchase contract was an as is. So they're buying it as is. So anyway, I posted the fixer-upper house on Craigslist. I posted it in Florida, New York, and New Jersey. Because so many snowbirds visit Florida from New York and New Jersey, I figured they might be interested in owning some affordable property here for investment, and once restored, to save money. This way they could stay in the house instead of renting hotel rooms. So initially I advertised the house for sale for $24,900. A New Jersey resident responded to the ad, asking questions via email. He offered $20,000. I accepted his offer. He offered a $2,000 down payment, and then and then asked if he could make payments for 6 months at $300 a month, and do a balloon payment at the end. And even though I didn't understand what a balloon payment was, I agreed to go ahead with the contract, and that's the first property I sold. And right after I agreed to do it, I went to the local library, which had good internet access, and I typed in balloon payment, and I sorted that out and agreed to do it. So anyway, I visited a local title company and asked for their advice. So with a title company worker's help, I filled out the contract, sent the buyer the information, and he sent a check for $2,000. At the end of the 6 months, he sent me a check for $16,700. Now, I'm a college dropout. And if I can do this, you can do it too. There's so much free information on the internet. There's so many nice people who work at these title companies and real estate agents who are willing to help. And you can meet them for coffee, tea, lunch. Find out what the carrot is and give them the carrot. If they want to hang out for lunch or whatever, if they want some money and they want to pay for lunch, they want a coffee, give it to them. Become their friend. Get a team of they're almost like a team of people that you have around you that you can call. Call the title person. Call the realtor, blah, blah, blah. Ask for their help. Offer to pay them. That's it. Get people who are in the field who can help you do this legitimately. And then, of course, hire a title company for escrow for the closing and to do a title search to make sure the title is clean. In other words, to make sure that the title doesn't have any doesn't have any liens on it, etc., etc. So on page 88 of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, there are links to free real estate forums that you can use. We're going to go over some more properties on page 89, but that's it for now for Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Thank you for listening. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 89. Bought for $6,300, sold for $18,500. At a tax deed sale in Madison, Florida, one of the quaintest downtown areas of Florida I've ever seen, I was a winning bidder on a 2-1 fixer-upper using the funds of a friend for $6,300. Earlier in this ebook, I mentioned that you can purchase properties for friends who don't have time or are out of the area and charge 25% or even 50% of the net profit. Another technique is to research properties using specific criteria like size, price, improvements, near points of interest, willing to finance, etc., and presenting 3 to 5 property deals a month for a monthly fee that cover the cost of a research and then some. So after 10 months of online advertising using Craigslist and other websites, I had received 375 emails from prospective buyers. I saved those emails as prospects for other properties. Eventually I listed the house on eBay where it sold for $18,500, earning a profit of $12,200. Ironically, however, the buyer was someone from the Craigslist leads, who after sending an email notification to him and others that the house was being put on eBay where lots of people would see it, watched the bidding and won it. With its time fuse, a certain amount of days before the sale ends, and a bidding process that generates competition, enthusiasm, and excitement, eBay can sometimes gather a crowd and help sell a property that otherwise would just sit there. So the house I purchased for $6,300 at a tax deed sale in Florida, sold it for $18,500. Here's a house that I purchased for $6,300 at a tax deed sale and sold it for $20,000. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 91. Keeping customers happy. I try to keep my customers happy. Why? Because keeping one customers happy makes good sense. Even before I receive the cashier's check for the property, this is what I do. Number 1, send detailed directions from their address or from the place they are arriving to the address of the lot they purchased. Number 2, collect brochures from nearby points of interest such as state parks, springs, recreational centers, shopping, churches, camping, etc. 3, take a lot of pictures and videos of the property. Upload the videos to YouTube and other video sharing sites. Send them direct links to the videos. For the pictures, you can upload them to an unlisted site and send them the link or email or text them the pictures. Send a letter thanking them for the purchase and include your contact information. Encourage them to contact you anytime if they need anything. When I receive their cashier's check, I put all the above into a manila envelope and mail it to them. My goal is to keep the buyer happy. He's likely to tell others and contact you when he's ready to buy more land. As you continue to buy and sell tax deed sales, you'll discover a number of ways to make money doing this. A lot of people want to own investment property in Florida or anywhere else in the United States, but don't have the money to buy land outright. This presents an opportunity for you to finance the land to them, to sell them the land with payments. For you, this means a monthly income. For them, this means small monthly payments on an investment that will rise in value, land. This is a win-win scenario for both the buyer and the seller. In the next chapter, we'll discuss using this technique, financing land, in more detail. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 93. How to get checks to your mailbox every month. Sell it with owner financing. Imagine getting checks to your mailbox every month, or imagine getting checks deposited directly to your bank account or credit union account every month. Think how good it would feel to open up the mailbox and pull out a check or a stack of checks written out to you. Think how good it would feel to get a notification from a bank or credit union saying that a check arrived, or you're just checking your bank or credit union and you have more money in there because a check's arrived. If you're like most people, or maybe I shouldn't say if you're like most people, but a lot of people, their experience is that when they check the mail, they have a stack of junk mail and bills. But the thing is, you're not like most people. If you purchase this ebook, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, if you're reading this ebook, if you're listening to this audio version of this ebook, you're not like most people. You're different, and you're different in a way that's good. Because you want to change your life for the better. You want to work smarter, not harder. This is why you purchased this ebook, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. And hopefully what you're learning and the action steps that you're hopefully going to apply will enable you to work smarter, not harder. In order to get checks to your mailbox, what you can do is once you purchase a property and once you sell the property, you can sell the property on payments. You can structure the sale of your property on payments, meaning instead of selling your property or land, house, or mobile home for one flat price, you sell it over a period of time for monthly payments with interest. So this type of transaction is called, quote, selling with financing, unquote, or, quote, selling with owner financing, unquote. Since you, the seller, are financing, selling with payments, the property to the buyer. So basically, this is where you sell your land for payments that are agreeable to you and the buyer. You set a down payment and monthly payments that they can afford and that you will be happy with as well. If you don't know anything about financing, that's okay, because I didn't either. When you do this, you use a contract for deed or a contract for purchase or a contract purchase. Essentially, this contract states that the buyer will be paying you a series of payments over time that amount to your selling price. Usually there is an interest rate attached to this. The beauty of selling this way, the beauty of selling a property with financing is this. You are giving the buyer an opportunity to own something with affordable monthly payments that he would, in many cases, not be able to buy outright. At the same time, you are making additional money on your property from the interest payments, and you are getting checks month after month. This is a win-win scenario for both the buyer and the seller. This kind of sale is beneficial to both the seller, you, and the buyer, them, because number one, you are giving the buyer an opportunity to purchase something that is valuable to them, land, house, or mobile home, that they could not afford otherwise. And number two, you are allowing the buyer to buy the property with no bank qualifying, no credit check, no begging, and no hoops to jump through. Number three, you can sell the property for a higher price since you are financing it, selling it on a payment plan to them. Number four, you can make big profits from the interest attached to the financing. Number five, you can sell it as an agreement for deed or a contract for deed with terms favorable to you, including the conditions that if they are late on their payment, they pay a late fee. They agree to pay property taxes. They agree to purchase the property as is, where is. They agree not to hold you liable for accident, injury, whether accidental or intentional, that happens to them while they are on the premises, and whatever other safety clauses or other clauses you may want to add. Number six, the buyer is likely to pass your name on to relatives and friends and acquaintances who might purchase a property from you as well. Setting up this kind of payment is, like most everything else, a matter of steps. This is what you do. Number one, find a property, land, house, or mobile home. Number two, buy the property. Offer a low cash deal. Offer to pay off any liens that may be attached to the property. Offer to pay all closing costs. So this is what you do. Number one, find a property. Number two, buy a property, offer a low cash deal. Number three, once you own the property, post it for sale at free classified sites online, social media sites, real estate websites, local newspaper, flyers at local restaurants, wherever people go, leave flyers there. This is how you write the ad, number 4. Here's your chance to blank. Fill in the blank with one of the statements below or make up your own. Here's an example. You make a flyer like this. Here's your chance to get out of the rent trap, number 1. Number 2, finally own your own house. Number 3, make a new life for yourself. Number 4, have a yard for your kids. Number 5, get your own place. Number 6, fire your landlord. Number 7, not have to rely on your landlord. Number 8, finally call yourself a homeowner. Number 9, write the benefits of owning your house, land, or mobile home. That's how you write the ad. Here's your chance to, and use one of those benefits of owning your property that you're selling, whether it's a house, land, or a mobile home. So for example, here's a flyer. This is on page 96 of Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Here's your chance to blank. And in the blank, you could put in own your own home, mobile home, land, investment property. Underneath that, put a picture of the property, the land, the house, the mobile home. Under that, write, no bank qualifying, no credit checks. Under that, tired of paying rent? You can own this house with blank down payment and payments of blank a month. So you could say, here's your chance to own your own home. No bank qualifying, no credit checks. Tired of paying rent? You can own this house with $1,500 down payments and payments of $500 a month. Note, in the first blank, put a money dollar amount. In the second blank, put a money dollar amount. Call, text me, email me. Here's another flyer idea. We're on page 97 of Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Tired of paying rent, crummy roommates, that lazy landlord? You can own your own house, land, mobile home, investment property. Simple and easy transaction. No lawyers, no realtors, no closing fees. I will pay all closing costs and take care of all the paperwork. Here's how it works. Number 1, you tell me what you can afford for down payment and monthly payments. 2, I'll see if I can make the numbers work. 3, if we both agree that the payments are fair and reasonable, then we can meet at the notary office to sign the paperwork. You bring certified check, cashier's check. Oh, this is for you. You bring certified check, cashier's check, bank check. 4, at notary office we fill out the paperwork. 5, you can move into the property. Call me right now. This is a great opportunity and I don't expect this place to last. Your name, your phone number, your email. So let's go over that again. We're on page 97 of Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Tired of paying rent, or tired of crummy roommates, or tired of that lazy landlord that doesn't fix stuff? So start out where you're taking a problem and you're reminding them of that and you're kind of agitating it. So page 97 of Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Tired of that lazy landlord that doesn't fix anything? You can own your own home. Simple and easy transaction. No lawyers, no realtors, no closing fees. I will pay all closing costs and take care of all the paperwork. Here's how it works. 1, you tell me what you can afford for down payment and monthly payments. 2, I'll see if I can make the numbers work. 3, if we both agree that the payments are fair and reasonable, then we can meet at the notary office to sign the paperwork. You bring a certified check, cashier's check, bank check. 4, at notary office we fill out the paperwork. 5, you can move into the property. Call me right now. This is a great opportunity and I don't expect this place to last. Please call me soon as I only have one property, or I only have 2 properties right now, or I only have 3 properties left. Or please call me soon as I only have 1 property left. Your name, your phone number. Page 98, Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. So 97 is a flyer, 96 is a flyer. Use those to get people a buyer's list. And you can also just post those on websites or forums or stuff online, social media sites, blah, blah, blah. Page 98, Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Number 5, once you get the buyer, you sell them the property. If you get a lot of potential buyers, save their contact information and contact them whenever you have a property to sell. Number 6, selling the property on payments requires either a contract for deed or an agreement for deed, depending on the state in which you live, or it might be another type of paperwork. So figure that out according to the state in which you live. To determine which contract you need, I suggest use DuckDuckGo.com or Brave.com or google.com or bing.com and search for name of state, and search for parentheses, name of state, and parentheses, requirements for selling land using payments or similar terms. So if you're in the state of Texas, you would type in Texas requirements for selling land using payments. If you're in the state of Idaho, you would type in Idaho requirements for selling land using payments. And search for that and find the requirements and take notes. Page 99 is on Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land ebook is real estate forms and contracts and deeds. So you'll find this in the ebook. Page 100 is how do you determine the interest rate? So one way to determine the interest rate is to go to calculator.com or bankrate.com or search for mortgage calculators. Go online and search for mortgage calculators. Find one, and then you can also find one of these on your phones, on an app or a website. And then you type in the price, the down payment, the date when the payments begin, and the interest rate, and then click the enter button. And then a new page will appear showing you the mortgage schedule or the amortization chart. Click on the full amortization chart or full mortgage schedule option. And then you can place the property for sale on eBay, Craigslist, or a number of other websites, listing it as a bid for down payment. This means that the winning bidder's bid is subtracted from the sales price, your asking price, and the balance, what remains to be paid, is paid over a period of time. So when the buyer sends you the winning bid, the down payment, you prepare what's called a contract for deed or an agreement for deed. You fill it out, sign it in the presence of a notary, then send it to the buyer to sign in the presence of a notary. It's paperwork, it's steps, but it's really not too difficult. It's just simply a matter of steps. 8. Once you have the interest rates that you and the buyer are satisfied with and the contract ready to go, you complete the sale. If you're close to each other, meet at the notary's office. There, both of you can sign the paperwork and have it notarized. Have the notary make 4 copies of the deed. You give the seller 2 copies. You keep the original and 1 copy for yourself as a backup. Normally, I do not record the sale, which means sending the original deed to the tax clerk's office, but you can if you want to. Congratulate the buyer and then leave. Number 9, repeat steps 1 through 8 over and over and over again. This, my friends, is one way to wealth. In doing this type of transaction, you are being the bank. You are maintaining control, you are collecting interest, and you are collecting payments every month. When you receive that first check in the mailbox with many more to come, think of me with a smile. Ha, wink, wink. Here's an example. Let's say you find a small lot that's near a well-known river. Lots in the area sell to realtors for $4,500. How do you buy this lot? Number 1, you visit the property appraiser and get the parcel identification number for lots in the neighborhood, then write to out-of-state owners who own lots in these areas, but they live out of state. Number 2, you send 4x6 index cards with funny hand-drawn pictures on the blank side and a short note offering to buy their property on the other side. In that short note, explain why you're interested in buying that property. In doing so, you're likely to be establishing rapport with that property owner. For example, I would say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm interested in buying your lot. Parcel identification in this county, in this state, parcel identification number. The reason why I'm interested in buying this lot is because it's near the Swanee River, and that's an amazing place, and I want to go camping and fishing and canoeing, blah, blah, blah." Now, these people might be out-of-state owners, and they might be excited for you to buy the lot because initially they wanted it, but something happened. They weren't able to visit the Swanee River. They live out of state now. They're tired of paying property taxes, so they're like, okay, this fellow seems like a nice guy. He wants to buy it for the same reason I did. I'm going to sell it to him. So you explain to that in a quick sentence why you want to buy it. So, number 2, back to the ebook. On page 101 of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, you send 4x6 index cards with funny hand-drawn pictures on the blank side and a short note offering to buy their property on the other side. In the note, mention that realtors are selling these lots for blah, 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 whatever amount, $4,500, but you could buy their lot fast for $1,500 to $2,000, and you will pay all closing costs. Number 3, someone called you offering to sell his lot for $2,400. Number 4, you agreed to buy it. Number 5, you discussed this with a local title company and gave the title company a $500 deposit for the land. Number 6, you sent the seller a copy of the check along with the warranty deed and instructions to have it filled out and notarized and return stamped envelopes, one for you and one for the title company. Number 7, anyway, you get the lot for $2,400. Let's say you decide to sell it through eBay. You make an ad that describes the area and list it for a bid for down payment auction. Your ad states that the winning bid will be subtracted from the sales price of $12,000 and financed at 7.5% for 6 years. The higher the bid, the lower the payments. In the eBay ad, you provide links to area attractions along with phone numbers of building and zoning so they can see if the lot is buildable. Although I have primarily used financing with land that I've sold, you can do this with houses or commercial buildings as well. Let's say someone wins the bid and purchases the lot. Their winning bid is $102.50. The balance of $11,897.50 will be carried at 7.5% interest for 6 years. That means you will be receiving monthly payments of $205.71 for the next 6 years. Not counting interest, your profit is about $9,600. You've given them a contract for deed. If they default on their payments, you have it written into the contract for deed that they have to pay a 10% late fee. Or if they're late on their payments past a certain time, as outlined in the contract for deed, you can demand the entire balance to be paid immediately. This isn't a fake story. This is what I did recently with a lot that I purchased last year. What do you need to do this? A reliable computer, high-speed internet, and a printer. If you have neither, you can do this at the library. I've done this at the library in visits to small towns where I investigated bargain properties. One time I brought my entire computer, not a laptop, and a suitcase into a small coffee house in Georgia. This is a true story. I brought my entire computer. It wasn't a laptop. And I brought it in a suitcase. And I brought this into a small coffee house in a small town in Georgia. And I think there was only one other person in the coffee house I glanced over, but no one really cared. Put up my computer. I have a strip plug that has like 6 plugs that can go in. I have an extension cord. Plug it in. Do my thing. On some of the days from morning to noon, I would be there advertising my property, drinking iced coffee, and enjoying the adventure of working for myself. And I would be there for hours. But I would buy stuff. I would be polite. If the place was crowded, I wouldn't want to hog that table for all day. But usually it wasn't crowded because I was there Monday through Friday. So on some of the days, from morning to noon, I would be there advertising the property, working with my full-size computer at a locally owned coffee house in a small town in Georgia. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. It was fun. I was enjoying the adventure of working for myself. By the way, I have another lot that I purchased in this area, 50 by 100, that I bought for $2,400. 8 months after I bought it, I sold it on eBay using an auction listing for $5,200. Who couldn't use a profit of $2,800? And that was my profit for that lot. Anyway, I hope this motivates, challenges, and inspires you to put this plan into action. There are so many properties available in the state of Florida and in states across the United States. You can get through tax deed sales that you can get by contacting out-of-state owners. Then you can sell that property for 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times or more than what you paid for it. You can sell it outright. You can sell it on payments. And it's a really win-win situation, especially if you sell it on payments to other people who cannot afford to buy it outright. You're selling it on payments with terms that are satisfactory and fair to both of you. And then it's great for them because you're covering all closing costs. You're not doing a credit check. And they're able to get a property they like on small monthly payments. And for you, you're getting checks over a period of time. So it's win-win. Anyway, this is Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, the audiobook version. Thank you for listening. And have an awesome day. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 104. Working for yourself, a way to wealth. Eventually, if you continue to follow the steps in buying and selling tax deed lands, you can start your own business. That's what I did on eBay, selling affordable land lots at my eBay store, the Land Depot. The more you do this, the more creative you can be in buying and selling your land using photos, videos, slideshows. At the end of the day, you define the limits. It's exciting working for yourself, and it's one of the ways, it's one of the avenues that you can use as a way to wealth. Working for yourself, you can do this. You can start your own company. You can invest in real estate. You can create something that will continue to earn money, like a book or an information product, an instructional course. You can even earn money selling books that you haven't written. Some books are in the public domain, and you can repackage them as your own, add illustrations, pictures, and put your own spin on the information with interesting stories, and then sell that product, that ebook, that book that's in the public domain, and you can resell it, and you can earn money whenever someone purchases it. Apparently, Kindle Direct Publishing on Amazon.com allows you to resell public domain books, but they have certain specifications that you have to adhere to in order to resell public domain books. And I think you have to add a certain amount of illustrations, maybe have 10 pages of your own writings of a critique in it, etc., etc. But you can figure out what that are. So one way you can do that is by going to archive.org, creativecommons.com, I think it is, or just searching online for books in the public domain, and then searching online for how to sell books that are in the public domain on Amazon. And Amazon has specific rules for doing this, but you can repackage it. That's another way you can make some money. So if you want to make money, learn the difference between assets and liabilities and buy assets. A liability is something that loses value, like clothes or shoes or a fancy car. Now, if it's a rare designer clothes or rare designer shoes or a fancy car, maybe it will go up in value, but a liability is something that's going to lose value pretty quickly. An asset would be an investment that gains value over time, like a piece of vacant land or a house that you plan to fix up and resell for a profit, or hang on to and sell for a profit at a later time. But in order to make money, you have to learn the difference between assets and liabilities, and then buy assets. And then do what you can to improve the value of the assets, and then resell those assets outright or on payments. Some quotes. Page 105 of Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Quote, "Every person who invests in well-selected real estate in a growing section of a prosperous community adopts the surest and safest method of becoming independent, for real estate is the basis of wealth." End quote. Theodore Roosevelt. Quote, "Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, it is about the safest investment in the world." End quote. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Quote, "Landlords grow rich in their sleep." End quote. John Stuart Mill. Quote, "Buying real estate is not only the best way, the quickest way, the safest way, but the only way to become wealthy." Marshall Field. Face it, one of the major avenues to wealth is through real estate. Why? Everyone needs a place to live. Let me ask you something. If you could develop real estate profitably, would you? Think about where your money goes. Are you buying assets, things that go up in value, or liabilities, things that maintain their value or go down in value? Keep track of how you spend your money. Start saving toward buying assets, things that go up in value, like properties at tax deed sales. If you're spending all your money on $5 coffees at Starbucks and you're poor, well, that's your fault. Lose the sugar addiction, drink water, and start putting your money into assets by buying land or real estate. Make the library your second home and read everything you can on what you want to do. Then, and this is crucial, start doing it. Take action. If you fail, that's okay, because it means you're moving forward. You are taking action. People have used the term fail forward. Get yourself back up, assess the situation, learn from your mistake, and take more action. No failure, only feedback. Just consider it feedback, learn from it, and continue moving forward. Whatever you focus on grows, so focus on positive things. Hang around positive people, places, and situations that are life-affirming. Your body has magnetic properties, and this has been documented with scientific evidence. That being the case, make it a priority to be around people who are positive and help you grow as a person. Start hanging around the people you want to be like. If you want to learn real estate investing, hang around with real estate investors. Don't know any? Post an ad on a forum for real estate investing or a group on social media stating your intent. Post an ad stating your intent that you want to learn and that you're willing to help in a specific capacity. Let's say you're an amateur carpenter and you want to learn about real estate. Contact people who are real estate investors. Say, I want to learn about this, and if you teach me, I can offer some carpentry for you. If you're a painter, say, I want to learn about this, and if you teach me, if you carry me under your wing, and I won't try to steal your properties, I will do some painting for you. With me, I did this for over a year by living with two real estate investors. Scott, very, very interesting, clever, and creative, probably genius of a guy who was an engineer and a real estate investor who would buy duplexes. I stayed with him. He wanted me to make him smoothies and get him a girlfriend. So I would go on dating sites, set up his profile, get him dates, and then I would make smoothies for him generally every morning and help him fix up his properties. The other guy, David, was a real estate investor, very successful, who liked traveling to European countries. And I learned from him what he valued was he wanted 2 coconuts a day. And there was a hurricane at the time, so I lived with him for free. Got him 2 coconuts a day on the ground because there was a hurricane. All these coconuts were on the ground. I was delivering pizzas at the time. And I offered my services to him. I found out what these 2 real estate investors want. I gave it to them. They let me live with them for free, and I learned about real estate from them. And this is what you can do. Offer value, demonstrate value to people, and demonstrate value to people that you want to learn from. Offer them that value and let them know why you're offering them that value for free or at a discount, because you want to learn how to do real estate investing. Find a mentor. You don't really have to pay for it, but give them something of value. Put a carrot, find out what their carrot is in front of them and give them that carrot. So, post an ad on a forum for real estate investing, stating your intent. Demonstrate value to them by finding out how you can help them. Then make yourself available. In the meantime, let them be your mentor. Take notes, absorb it all in, become a sponge. You can do it. Once you believe you can do it, once you take action based on that belief, then you are moving from the arena of possibilities into the arena of probabilities, from the arena of belief to thought to action to result. Once you believe that you can and take action and continue to take action with persistence and dedication, you become kind of an unstoppable force. Listen to this awesome verse. Listen to this awesome verse. I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:13. Read that verse from the Bible. Memorize it. Speak it to yourself. Thank God for all He has given you. Continue learning. Flex the muscle of your mind. Ask questions. Read. Apply what you learn. You can do it. Make big profits flipping Florida land. Page 109. Frequently asked questions. Once you start attending tax deed sales and bidding on properties, you're likely to have questions. The next chapter answers some of the frequently asked questions regarding tax deed sales. Are liens attached to tax deed sales? This depends on the county. Call the county clerk to verify. Generally, at tax deed sales, all liens have been wiped out. With tax deed sales, the clerk of court contacts interested parties via mail and newspaper advertising, so everyone is given ample time to respond prior to the tax deed sale. Make sure to verify this with the county clerk. Don't expect the county clerk to make any promises in this, as they can be held liable. To be sure about liens, visit the local county courthouse and research upcoming tax deed sales. Ask as many questions as you can. Most county clerks are helpful and friendly and enjoy helping people, so make the most of it. Number 2. If you're the highest bidder at a tax deed sale, what do you get? You get a tax deed document showing that you are the owner of the land, or the mobile home, or the house, whatever is on the tax deed. As owner of the tax deed, you can sell this using a quitclaim deed. As owner of the tax deed, you can sell the tax deed using a quitclaim deed, which essentially means it quits your claim of interest in that property. A quitclaim deed is sellable. In order to get title insurance on your property, you need to have a warranty deed. Converting your quitclaim deed to a warranty deed requires a search by a title company, costing anywhere from a few $100s to $1,500 or more to quiet the title. Once this is done, you end up with a warranty deed, which is insurable and the best kind of deed to have. How do you get a quitclaim deed for yourself? Here's how you do it in steps. Number 1, fill out the legal description and the parcel identification number on a quitclaim deed. Number 2, sign this in the presence of a notary public. Cost about $10 to $15, maybe less. Number 3 is DR 219 form, which is no longer necessary, but check with your county clerk. That's a Department of Revenue form. Number 4, recording fees. Typically, recording fees are $10 for the first page and $8.50 for the second page. So verify this with a county. So if your quitclaim deed or warranty deed needs to be recorded and it's 2 pages, that would be about $18.50. $10 for the first page, $8.50 for the second page. But again, verify this with a county clerk. Number 5, document fees. Typically, document fees are correspond with the sale price. So it's typically about $7 per 1,000 or 70 cents per $100. So if your property is $1,000, then your document fees would be $7, around that price. Number 6, normally you can add together the document fees and recording fees and send a cashier's check or a bank check or sometimes even a personal check for this amount to the county clerk. As some counties may have different procedures, please verify this first. After making a copy or 2 copies of the quitclaim deed for yourself for recording purposes, mail or hand deliver the original quitclaim deed to the clerk of courts for recording purposes. If necessary, include the Department of Revenue 219 form, DR 219 form. But the last I checked, this was not necessary for the state of Florida. But you want to include the cashier's check in a self-addressed stamped envelope. I suggest a 9x12 envelope or an 8.5x11 envelope. And I suggest also including a handwritten postcard or just a piece of paper that says, "Hi, this is my name, this is what I'm doing, number 1, number 2, number 3. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, call me." Including a handwritten note is helpful. I've done this before, and at one time I did it incorrectly, and the handwritten note enabled them to call me really quickly so I could remedy the deed and fix it and go forward with it. Number 4, can you guarantee title insurance and buildability for a tax deed? This is a good question. Number 4, can you guarantee title insurance and buildability for a tax deed? As far as I know, only if you sue to quiet title, which means paying an attorney or title company anywhere from a couple $100s to $1,500 or more to contact all interested parties that may be connected to that parcel of real estate. So in order to get title insurance for a tax deed, you have to do a title search, and it's considered, quote, suing to quiet the title, unquote. And that will cost anywhere from a few $100s to $1,500 or more. When buying a property, send the seller 3 contracts. 1 contract for the seller to keep, 1 contract for the seller to send to a title company, and 1 contract for the seller to send to you. Number 5, do you have to use a title company? No. I've sold properties with a title company and without a title company. Some title companies are a hassle. They'll slow everything down to the point that the buyer or seller might get impatient and decide to back out of the deal. Other title companies understand the importance of closing in a timely manner. Overall, it's a safe bet to use a title company as they can act as an intermediary between buyer and seller. A title company can save you the worries of legal problems after the sale has closed. Number 6, do you have to use a warranty deed to buy or sell property? No. You can buy property as a quitclaim deed. If possible, though, use a warranty deed as this guarantees the title to be clean, without liens or encumbrances. Title insurance can be issued on a warranty deed. What are some tips to finding land with future growth? Number 7, what are some tips to finding land with future growth? If you're using the Florida Counties map within the Flip Florida Land Ebook Bundle, I would suggest you use the Florida County's tax deed sales map and the Florida County's property appraisers map. Research your counties, contact the county clerks, and ask questions. Contact the property appraiser and do the same. Number 1, find out where the people, the future, are headed. Get there first and buy up the land. Number 2, research plans by the Department of Transportation, the DOT. You can find their website, Department of Transportation, then type in the state where you live, and find out what's going on with the Department of Transportation in the areas where you're interested in buying land. And call them, email them, ask them questions. Find out where the highways are going, where exit ramps will be constructed, and buy land nearby. Number 3, research town growth. Find out where theme parks, shopping plazas, and new businesses are going to be located. Get there first, buy land there, buy land nearby. Number 4, buy low. You make money when you buy, not when you sell. Well, you don't make money, but it's just a concept. You make money when you buy, not when you sell. If you buy at a really low price, you're likely to make money because you can sell it at a higher price very quickly. Number 5, if you have the money, the know-how, and if the land is subdividable and cheap enough, buy land in large parcels, then subdivide it, sell it at a profit. In other words, if you know that someone's selling 5 acres at a very low price, and you can get it, and the land is subdividable, then you can buy that land. Say someone's selling 5 acres for $5,000. Now, if that's a good deal, and you're able to buy that land for $5,000 and it's subdividable, after paying the cost of a surveyor, which a couple $100 to I think around $1,500, you had to weigh that in, 5 acres for $5,000 and you're able to subdivide it. That means each acre is worth, you could sell each acre for $1,000. Now, after the cost of a surveyor and stuff, say it's $1,000 extra for a surveyor per parcel, then that means what if you could sell 1 acre for $3,000, and what if you bought 5 acres for $5,000? Now imagine you sell all 5 acres and 1 acre parcels for $3,000 each. You made $15,000 off of $5,000, and you made $10,000 profit, which is pretty nice. So I'm over explaining here, but the concept is, if you can buy something that's subdividable, then you can buy the land and subdivide it and sell it off at a profit. Another thing too is some people are looking for land with no restrictions, meaning that generally speaking you can do whatever you want on it. So if that's a selling point to someone who's interested in freedom and stuff, you could buy a big plot of land, subdivide it, and that would be a selling point. No restrictions, and some people are really, really into that. So that's something worth considering, as that adds value to your property, especially if that's valuable and that person is interested in it's like freedom. So number 8, what if the property appraiser website doesn't have a GIS map? When you start your online search and discover that the property appraiser doesn't have a GIS map to locate your property, you can use this to your advantage because you can target areas that other investors will skip over. This means less competition and more time for developing a stealth technique for buying lots. How? This gets interesting. If you learn how to read county maps and subdivision maps, also known as plat maps, you can identify the location of land and its vicinity to selling features, bodies of water, parks, shopping centers, highways, etc. Think of this technique as developing a muscle which a lot of people fail to recognize. At the end of the workout, you'll have an advantage over the competition. Let's get started by defining what a parcel identification number is and learning how to use it to locate land. Make big profits flipping Florida land, page 113. Understanding parcel identification numbers. Parcel identification number defined. Parcel identification numbers, PIN, also called parcel control numbers, PCN, are used to reference the location of land or property on a county map. Basically, each number corresponds to a specific section on the map. Parcel identification numbers, or parcel control numbers, or parcel ID numbers, are broken down into section, township, range, subdivision, block, and lot. The township numbers are aligned vertically along the left side of the plat map. The range numbers are aligned horizontally across the top of the plat map. So if you're following along, this is in the ebook Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 113. Understanding Parcel Identification Numbers. The township numbers are aligned vertically along the left side of the plat map. The range numbers are aligned horizontally across the top of the plat map. Here's a parcel identification number. 36-10-13-5665-0024-0390. So the first number is a section, the second number is a township, the third number is a range, the fourth number is a subdivision, the fifth number is a block, and the sixth number is a lot. So let's go over this again. The parcel number 36-10-13-5665-0024-0390. And again, this is on page 113 of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, the ebook. So one more time, the parcel identification number 36-10-13-5665-0024-0390. 36 is a section, and that's where the township and the range meet. 10 is a township. That's running vertical, left side of the map. 13 is a range. That's running horizontal, top of the map. 5665 is a subdivision, denoted by circled number within section. 0000 is a block. If there is not a block, then it will be 0000. 0001 is a lot. Let's go over that one more time. Again, we're on page 113 of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, the ebook. So to find the parcel identification number, also known as the parcel control number or parcel ID, the example number is 36-10-13-5665-0024-0390. 36 is a section, that is where the township and range meet. 10 is a township, that is running vertical, left side of the map. 13 is a range, that's running horizontal, top of the map. 5665 is a subdivision, denoted by a circled number within section. 0024 is a block, and 0390 is a lot. So steps to locating land. Beginning at the township number, take your left hand and run it horizontally to the right across the map. Number 2. Beginning at the range number, take your right hand and run it vertically down toward where your left hand is positioned. Number 3. The square at which your hands intersect is a township. Each township consists of 36 sections, each measuring 1 square mile or 640 acres. These sections are numbered 1 through 36. To find what section of the township you are located, or to find the area of the section of the township and where it's located, find the section number's location within the township. The section number is the first 2 digits on the parcel ID number. The section is the 1 square mile perimeter within which lies the subdivision. If no subdivision exists, this is indicated by 4 zeros on the parcel identification number in the subdivision field. Number 5. At this point, contact the property appraiser for the county of the map that you are looking at. For example, for this example, we're using Dixie County, Florida. For Dixie County map, contact Dixie County, Florida property appraiser and ask him or her what map number is needed for your section, township, and range location. I suggest you order that map. The cost is normally $5 or a little bit more. That map number shows the exact location and street address, if there is one, of the property. Number 7. With this map, find the block numbers. Look for circled numbers within the section. That's the block number. The lot numbers identify smaller portions of land that lie within the block. For example, block number 0024 denotes block number 24. Lot number 0390 denotes lot number 39. In this case, the location would be referred to as block 24, lot 39. Where to buy a plat map. Most counties have plat maps available for sale at the property appraiser's office. Even if you are not in town, you can typically call and order them. Learning how to use this will put you at an advantage, especially in rural towns that don't have online GIS, graphical information system maps available. Because some counties don't have GIS, Graphical Information System, maps on their websites, understanding parcel identification numbers can give you an edge over the competition in finding where land is located in the county. If you take advantage of this, if you make the most of this, you'll see opportunities where others see obstacles. Another opportunity presents itself in learning the paperwork necessary to buying and selling land, which can save you hundreds of dollars in closing costs. The next chapter will discuss the necessary paperwork for buying and selling land. As an overview for what I've just read to you, and that is starting at page 113 from the Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land ebook. As an overview for this, it's a really good idea, in my opinion, to learn parcel ID numbers, parcel control numbers. Just because once you learn these and once you get an idea of the map, you'll get a better understanding of this. I suggest you, if you're looking to understand this, just literally go to your county clerk's website, or I would suggest you find a county nearby you that's more rural. Talk to the county clerk over the phone and order a plat map, and just look over the plat map and learn how to understand what section, township, range, subdivision, block, and lot is. Understanding these will, even if they do have a GIS, a graphical information systems, understanding this will give you a real understanding of how to find land. When I was doing this in northwest Florida, it was very, very interesting. Because you can use the plat maps to find the chain of title, who's owned the land when, and it's just, I don't know, it's just really, really interesting. There's just a history to it, and knowing this will kind of give you an appreciation of how much easier it is now, while at the same time giving you a deeper understanding of what's involved in mapping these properties. That's just kind of a side note. Hope you appreciate it. All right. So next thing, we are going to go over some of the paperwork necessary for buying and selling land. Thank you. You're listening to Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land, page 116. Paperwork necessary for buying and selling land. For free real estate forms, contracts, and deeds, visit these websites. You can find links to these websites at Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, the ebook, page 116, and also in the companion ebook, the Finding Florida Land Action Plan. So let's talk about deeds. A deed is a method of transferring title to real estate from one person to another. Here are two types of deeds that you can use to buy and sell property: a warranty deed and a quitclaim deed. Warranty deed. According to Wikipedia, quote, a general warranty deed is a type of deed where the grantor or seller guarantees that he or she holds clear title to a piece of real estate and has a right to sell it to you. The guarantee is not limited to the time the grantor owned the property. It extends back to the property origins, end quote. A warranty deed provides that the person granting the deed agrees to defend the title from claims of others. In general, the seller is representing that they fully own the property and will stand behind this promise. In order to get a better understanding of filling out warranty deeds, look over the warranty deeds that come with this ebook. Compare the blank copy with a copy that has been filled out. Make copies for your own use. Another idea or suggestion is for you to find someone who has done this before, whether they're a realtor or a broker or a real estate investor or just someone who's into real estate who knows how to do this. And you can find examples online of how to fill out a warranty deed or even a quitclaim deed using search engines like Google.com, DuckDuckGo.com, and Bing.com, and other search engines. Filling out a warranty deed requires writing the legal description of the property, such as that part of government lot 40, section 36, quote, the parcel identification number, and legal disclaimers added to protect yourself. So such legal disclaimers added to protect yourself in warranty deed might include phrases such as, quote, subject to all valid easements, restrictions, and reservations of record. Property is being sold quote, as is, where is, end quote. This is vacant land. If you have questions about filling out a warranty deed, ask a local title company or a realtor or real estate investor for your help. Number 2, quitclaim deed. According to Wikipedia, quote, a quitclaim deed is a legal document by which a person releases or, quote, quits, end quote, any claim they may have had to the property. Of the different types of deeds, a quitclaim deed has the least assurance that the person receiving it will get any rights. The person who provides a quitclaim deed makes no warranty or representation that they actually own anything, end quote. To put it simply, a quitclaim deed is a deed without warranty of title. A transaction that involves a quitclaim deed passes whatever title the grantor has to another. For a better understanding of filling out quitclaim deeds, look over the quitclaim deeds that come with this ebook. Compare the blank copy with the one that has been filled out. Make copies for your own use. Filling out a quitclaim deed follows the same principles as filling out a warranty deed, including writing the legal description, the parcel identification number, and legal disclaimers to protect yourself. As with the warranty deed, if you have any reservations about writing or filling out a quitclaim deed, ask a local title company or realtor or real estate investor for your help. Recording fees. Whichever deed you use, a recording fee needs to be paid to the county clerk's office at the close of the sale. Usually the recording fee for the first page is $10 and the recording fee for each additional page is $8.50. But this varies according to the county, so visit the county website first and give them a call or email to verify the exact price. Typically, the recording fees need to be paid with a cashier's check or a bank check. Make the check out to clerk of court. Again, please verify this by calling the county where the land is located. Then, Then send the deed, whether it's a warranty deed or a quitclaim deed, to be recorded. Now, on page 119 of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land ebook, on page 119, if you look at number 3, a DR-219 form, I spoke with a property appraiser or a clerk's office, and they said the DR-219 forms or the Department of Revenue 219 forms are no longer necessary for paperwork. So this might vary according to county, so it might be something you want to check with your county clerk's or property appraiser's office, or both. So in the next section, I'm going to present 2 letters that I've written to property owners. And you can read these 2 letters over or just listen to my audio of them to get an idea of how to craft your correspondence to property owners. Again, thanks for listening. This is Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 121. Actual letters I've sent to property owners. Letter to conclude purchase of property. Hi Vera, as per our verbal agreement over the phone on month, day, year, here is a bank check for number dollars. The payment, parentheses, full purchase price, close parentheses, for the vacant parcel of land located in Swanee Gardens subdivision. The parcel number for this land is 26-10-13-5665-0024-0400. Please look over the contract and sign every page along with the date as well. After you do this, please mail me the signed contract by using the stamped envelope that I have enclosed. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me anytime at phone number. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 122. Letter showing that deposit has been made toward purchase of property. Hi Tracy. Enclosed is a contract and receipt acknowledging that a $500 deposit is being held in escrow by name of the title company, title. To verify this, call name of the title company, title, at phone number. As soon as you get this, please fill in the contract. Following your name, please write, quote, a single man, end quote, or, quote, married to, and then the name of wife, end quote. At the bottom of the contract, sign your name and date the contract. Then, make a copy of this for your records. Then, put the contract in the self-addressed stamped envelope and drop it in the mail. Following the title search, you will be sent a warranty deed contract with instructions from the title company. Once that is filled out with your signature, witness signatures, notarized and returned, I will mail you the dollar amount we agreed on. So, again, I'm reading from pages 121 and 122 of the ebook Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. And these are actual letters I've sent to property owners. So, typically when I send a letter out to property owners, I explain stuff in detail. And some people might say I over-explain, but I would rather over-explain than under-explain and then miss something. So when I send out these letters, I explain specifically, hi, this is what we agreed on, this is what's going on, and this is what I need you to do next. And I might even put a numbered list, 1, 2, 3, 4. And usually I'll include, sometimes, as far as I remember correctly, I might include, and if I don't, this is probably a good idea, if I send out a form for them to fill out, it's a good idea to make a copy of that form, and then above put dummy form, uses for example purposes only, and then just say on the copy of that quote dummy unquote form, put fill in the highlighted section. Then you have a highlighted section. So they can use that as a template for the real form they're supposed to fill out. And I tell them to do everything step by step. Do this, do this, do this, fill it out, notarize, sign it, make a copy for yourself, mail it, do this. And then I include a self-addressed stamped envelope. I want to make this very, very simple to them because they're helping me by selling me a property at a price that I think is a fair and reasonable price. It's a good deal for me. And I'm helping them by making it very easy for them to sell the property. They don't have to go through a realtor. They don't have to go through payments. They just follow these simple instructions. I send them the down payment to the title company that's holding the payment in escrow. They fill out this information. They send it to the title company. The title company tells me that it clears. I send the title company the rest of the payment. They send the warranty deed to the title company. The title company sells it to me. It's literally just a matter of steps. And it works very beautifully most of the time. But anyway, this is pages 121 and 122 from the ebook Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 123. Florida counties, clerk and property appraiser websites. The following numbers correspond with the numbered counties on the Florida Counties Tax Deed Sales Map. You can find these maps by scrolling to the end of this PDF book, Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Use this numbered guide to research tax deeds by visiting the websites for the county clerk and property appraiser websites. There will also be corresponding websites with clickable maps for Florida counties, one website for the Florida counties property appraiser websites, and another website for the Florida counties clerks websites. How does this work? Number 1, the first word in bold is a county. In this case, Escambia is a county in Florida. Excuse me. Below it, you will see www and then the website. This is a website for Escambia County Clerk. Visit this website to find the tax deed sales list. At the tax deed sales list, get the parcel identification number, PIN, also known as the parcel control number, PCN, and write it down, or print the list of tax deed properties for sale. Below this, you will see the website for Escambia County Property Appraiser. Visit this website and look for the Search Properties function. Once you find it, type the parcel identification number into the search box and hit Enter or Return on your keyboard or the search button on the computer screen. Find the information about this property, print this information. Doing this research enables you to learn the value of the property so you can determine the bid amount. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 124. How to use the clerk and property appraisers websites to find deals. Use the websites below, clerk and property appraiser websites for Florida counties to determine property values, ownership information, if taxes are current, location, and so on. One technique that you can use is to find out-of-state owners who have owned the property for years and do not appear interested in doing anything with the property. Typically, and sometimes, these people are weary of paying taxes on something they do not intend to use. Make them a cash offer and let them know that you are making multiple offers on multiple properties at the same time and that your cash is limited. This technique employs scarcity and, for them, the fear of missing out. Even if they decline your offer or refuse to sell it to you, encourage them to keep your contact information, and you keep their contact information too, in order to contact you if they change their mind. So if people say, I'm not interested, let them know, honestly, that you're looking at multiple properties and you have a limited amount of money. And let them know that you're very interested in their property, but you have a limited amount of money and you're looking at other properties, so that if they do decide to sell, they get in touch with you sooner rather than later. Because if they get in touch with you later, at that point you might have already purchased another property, your funds might be limited or depleted, or you might just be busy with another property and not interested in their property anymore. So keep in mind that the way they feel about you, the way that a seller feels about you, is generally what will compel them to accept your offer. Be honest, be kind, be polite, be courteous, be fair. Be forthright, be candid. Just be very honest and tell the person why you're interested in their property. I also suggest making a note, actually writing down their name, their interests, their phone number, and set a reminder on your phone to contact them a month or two, or even sooner than that, later. If you stand out as a nice guy or a nice girl who is genuine and caring, they're more likely to sell a property to you than to someone who sends them a form letter that lacks personalization and that lacks caring. This is Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Thank you for listening. Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land, page 125. Florida Counties List, Property Appraiser and Tax Clerk Websites. So if you're listening to this now, I suggest you get the Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land ebook, the PDF that you purchased, and go to page 125. And this will have a list of Florida counties, the property appraiser websites, and the tax clerk websites. Now, if some of these websites do not work, I suggest you visit the companion website, which is updated, which has the Florida counties clickable map. One for the property appraiser website for every single county in the state of Florida, and the other Florida counties clickable maps that has the property appraiser websites for every single county in Florida. So if you use those two maps, open both windows, those results are likely to be more accurate than the ones on page 125, starting on page 125 of the Flip Florida Land ebook. And thank you for your understanding. So please use the clickable maps on the county's maps as those links to the property appraisers and the clerk's websites are likely to be more accurate, as those have been updated very recently. So on page 138 of the Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land ebook, you'll see the Florida Counties Tax Deed Sales Map. And this will show you all the counties in Florida with a number assigned to each one, with the different sections of the Florida counties: Northwest Florida, North Central Florida, Northeast Florida, Central West Florida, Central Florida, Central East Florida, Southwest Florida, and Southeast Florida. On page 139 of the Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land ebook, you will find resources that offer you free real estate forms, contracts, and deeds, and you can find additional real estate forms, contracts, and deeds, many of them for free or for a very fair and reasonable price, using such a search engine as Google.com, DuckDuckGo.com, or Bing.com. So all you have to do is go online and search for free real estate forms, contracts, and deeds. And I recommend you use DuckDuckGo.com or Bing.com, as you're likely to find resources that might be hidden or buried in the algorithm on Google. Google tends to use sponsored results a lot more. On page 140 of Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, the ebook, you'll find real estate websites, how to research people using specific websites, and social media websites that can be helpful. Thank you for listening to Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 141. Lease option and subject to. Offer to purchase their property cash or with a lease option, quote, subject to, end quote. A quote, subject to, quote, lease option contract essentially states that you're willing to buy the property subject to a specific situation or event, subject to something happening. Typically, a subject to lease option is used when the potential buyer does not have the funds, so his interest in purchasing the property is subject to his acquiring the funds. Sometimes, depending on the existing state laws, a subject to lease option can be used to buy the property and sell it to someone at a higher price with a double closing, wherein the first buyer uses the new buyer's money to pay the seller and pockets the difference that he sold it for. This has also been called flipping the contract. To learn more about subject to and lease options and double closings, search for those terms in DuckDuckGo.com or Bing.com or Google.com, and also at real estate investing websites. Also, you can post questions asking about subject to and lease options and double closings at Quora.com. That's Quora.com. Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, page 142. Calculators. Determine mortgage payments, amortization schedule, interest rates. Adjusting the interest rates could translate to additional thousands of dollars in your pockets. Go online. Feel free to use your preferred search engine, whether it's DuckDuckGo.com, Brave.com, Google.com, or Bing.com, or any other search engine, and search for mortgage calculators or just calculators. Here's a few of the websites: calculator.com, bankrate.com. But go online and search for mortgage calculators. Test it out, see which one you like, and bookmark that calculator so you can use it to determine mortgage rates on something that you might want to sell or even might want to purchase. And you can also find apps on your phone, on your smartphone. If you're on Android, go to the Google Play Store and type in mortgage calculator or calculators. Download some free runs, try them out. If you're on an Apple phone, go to iTunes and search for calculators or mortgage calculators. Download some free runs and try them out. We're on page 142 for Make Big Profits Flipping Florida Land, the ebook. Legal help. For legal help for issues concerning real estate investors, go to www.nolo.com. That's www.nolo.com for free legal help. Also, search using your favorite search engine for free legal help for real estate investors. I highly suggest you use DuckDuckGo.com, Brave.com, or Bing, B-A-N-G, Bing.com for these searches, as you're likely to find websites that are kind of buried in the Google algorithm. So try some different search engines and you might get some nice gifts as a surprise. So for legal help for issues concerning real estate investors, literally search for that whole phrase or go to nolo.com. For conversion equivalents, to convert acres to square foot, width and length to acreage and more, you can use conversion equivalent calculators or conversion equivalent websites also to determine the dollar amount per square foot and the size of the property. Just type in conversion equivalents acres to square foot or conversion equivalents width and length to acreage and search for this online and just to find conversion equivalent calculators. This is Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land, page 142. Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land, page 143. Thanks. Thank you for reading this ebook, and thank you for listening to the audio version of Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Now is the time for action. Apply these techniques, and you're likely to be pleasantly surprised at the results. Here are the basic steps. 1. Research tax deed properties and or bargain properties using tax clerk websites, the county tax clerk websites, and the county property appraisers websites. 2. Attend the tax deed sales. 3. Bid on properties. 4. Sell the properties for a profit, either with financing or a set sales price. Start doing it. Once you take action, you will see that buying and selling bargain properties, whether you find them via tax deed sales, out-of-state owners, or other methods, is a matter of following steps. When you purchased this ebook, Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land, you took action. When you decided to listen to the audio version, you took action. When you read it, you took action. This goes to show that you can take the next step, purchasing your first bargain property. Expect success, take action to make it happen. Thank you, and God bless you. If you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime. My personal email is bicycledays@yahoo.com. That's bicycledays@yahoo.com. If you have any questions at all, comments or concerns, email me at bicycledays@yahoo.com. In the subject line, please put questions or comments regarding Make Big Profits, Flipping Florida Land. Thank you, God bless you, and have an awesome day, an awesome week, an awesome year, an awesome life. Thank you.